Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy, Austin Ward. My good buddy, Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's go live on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Bo and the boys with you for the next three. Reese is here. Bodie in for Bake. Coming up at 10:30, Jake Trotter stops by, as is customary. It is a Hey Guys First Friday. Get those questions into Reese, and we will get those coming up at 11 o'clock. At 11:30, Adam Jardy going to join. As you heard from the Handsome Update anchor there, a very busy day yesterday in terms of portaling guys who came in a year ago who are now portaling out now, which leads to a conversation about what exactly does Ohio State want Ohio State basketball to be. Big off season for them. So we'll get some perspective from Adam on that and have our own thoughts on that as well. Look, the Jackets scored 8 last night, and that was certainly going to be the lead, and we're going to do plenty on it. But when you wake up to the news that Val Kilmer has passed, then that leads to a flood of memories for me. And I'm not sure if it hits the same for Bode and for Reese as it does for me. But for me, if you're a man, you're 40, and in my case, past the second half of your 40s at this point, you remember Val Kilmer as a seminal part of your childhood. You first saw him most likely in Top Gun, but it wasn't just that. He was... If you were buying stock, Bill Simmons uses this line all the time, like, I buy stock in this actor. As a middle school or late elementary middle school kid, I bought all the stock in Val Kilmer that you could buy coming out of Top Gun. And then he backed it up. He was in an absolutely smashing banger show movie that was a fantasy movie called Willow, where he played Mad Mortigan, which is spectacular show that I think is it's got to be streaming somewhere, probably on Max or something like that. He followed that up with, I think, one of the... If I think of the movies in my life that I've seen the most, Top Gun is certainly one of them, and it's there's no question that Tombstone is in the top 10. That I've seen Tombstone a million times, and his performance as Doc Holliday is one that was probably quoted more or as much, and it's hard to wrap your head around now. I understand it. You say, wait a second. A Western based on Wyatt Earp and the OK Corral and the tracking down of cowboys based on true story. This was one of the most quoted movies of your high school and college years. Yeah, it was. A lot of I'm your Huckleberry, I'm your Daisy, you're a Daisy if you do, all that stuff. Like, people said that non-stop over and over and over again. You don't see that movie make the rounds as much, but there was a time when it was on constantly. And it's crazy when you watch him in it, how much he became Doc Holliday. I mean, look, I don't even have another recollection of it. And there was actually a second Wyatt Earp movie that was made around that time that Kevin Costner did with Dennis Quaid as Doc Holliday, and he actually played it pretty well, but he was so overwhelmed by what Kilmer did as Holliday that it's just lost in the wake. It's just gone. And he had all of these other ones. He was the Saint. He was the Batman after Michael Keaton, and was actually pretty decent in that role. And then, of course, he gets the call back with Cruise in Top Gun Maverick in a scene that you started to get whispers it was coming. And Reese, I know you haven't seen Maverick yet, but you started to get whispers that the Kilmer scene was coming. And so you were anticipating it. And then it was even better than whatever you anticipated it being. I mean, you still can hear like the crashing of the keyboard as he's typing because he can't talk because he lost his voice. And so I was thinking about he was so good as Chris in Heat, too. I mean, there was a stretch there where if he was in something, it was an absolute banger. And so he is someone who was such a part of my youth and adolescence, and really all the way through college. And he disappeared, obviously, when he got sick, but then came back so big in Maverick. What is your guys' relationship with Kilmer?
So I remember, like, Tombstone used to be the movie before Gladiator that was always on AMC, or it was one of those channels, like maybe like TCM. Remember that, the Turner Classic Movie Channel, which I don't know if still exists, but him as Doc, for me, that's his best role. And Batman, I think was the first thing I saw him in. And I had to watch Heat this weekend because it's been a long time. But I have a pretty good idea of like his legacy. I mean, obviously of the movies that he's in that have spawned so much in different genres.
Yeah.
And then Top Gun's always going to be iconic. So yeah, he's, as far as action movie stars go, and then you, of course, when you see all of this, you kind of read back to your earlier point of like he was supposed to be the guy at one point. Like he was going to be for 20 years the action star, like the action icon on this planet.
There was probably a DiCaprio, like what now DiCaprio is or what Pitt is. I mean, he was only in Top Gun 10 minutes. You know, in your mind's eye, you think he was like the co-star of the movie with Cruise, but it really wasn't. It was Kelly McGillis, and maybe Anthony Edwards was probably in it more. Iceman was only in it like 10 minutes of screen time, and that's it. But you're right, because there was a spy based on a comic book called The Saint that he was in at one point, and that was supposed to be, a big hit. He was in a movie with Michael Douglas called The Ghost in the Darkness, which is actually pretty good, about these I want to say based on a true story of lions that get human blood and they can't stop for the taste of it, and they end up hunting humans in Africa. That's a pretty damn good one. He's unbelievable as Jim Morrison. I mean, he looks like Morrison in The Doors. He sounds like Morrison. Really just completely had all of it. Bode, you're obviously younger. Do you have any relationship or familiarity with this stuff, or is this way before your time?
Yeah, for me, it pretty much starts and stops with the two Top Gun movies, and I've seen both of them, loved both of them. I'm not even sure if I realized he was going through some of the health stuff until I saw Maverick and realized, like, you kind of see the movie and I'm like, is this just an act? And it's like, no, that's very real. And I knew he was like a pretty big star. And I assume most of those movies came out in the 90s. Is that, am I right on that? Yeah. So that was kind of a little before my time there. And yeah, so for me, it pretty much all starts and stops with Top Gun on that. But was very familiar with him, knowing he did a lot of other stuff, even though I haven't seen all that other stuff.
There was an SNL.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's an SNL movie, MacGruber, that he was the bad guy in. It was a really stupid movie, but it was really entertaining. I can't say the name of his character, but he was Baron Von. I'll stop there. It was just dumb and funny.
It's crazy because everything I mentioned, the stretch I mentioned, is all done. I mean, the last of the ones I mentioned, in terms of like the ones that you look back on when you think of him, that's all done by Ghost in the Dark. The Saint is 1997. Ghost in the Darkness is 96. So it's basically he's in Top Gun in 86. He did Real Genius, which was kind of like the launching one. That's way back. Then he did Top Gun in 86, and then all of that stuff hit between 86 and 97. And then it's kind of some weird choices that he made and kind of just disappeared and was probably largely forgotten until the Top Gun Maverick, until that happened. This might be the time for you to watch it now, Reese, in honor of Val Kilmer. You may have to. I'm gonna have to
do that, Heat, and I mean, because Heat's so much fun because Al Pacino is just out of his mind.
Heat's unbelievable.
Like, if there's one Val Kilmer movie you watch in homage to him sometime in the next couple of days, I'd recommend Heat.
He's unbelievable. I don't know that Heat's. What do we? I saw we have. He's involved in the fan poll today. What do we have in the fan poll today?
So the daily fan poll, sponsored by Caster Connection, does ask, "What is your favorite Val Kilmer movie?" And we can only do 4. So it's Heat, The Doors, Tombstone, and Top Gun. 43% say Tombstone.
Yeah, I think Tombstone is a Kilmer movie. I don't think that Top Gun or Heat is a Kilmer movie.
No, not really.
Heat is the first time De Niro, Pacino head to head. That's Heat.
So good.
And it's they're both throwing a million miles an hour in it. And Pacino's out of his mind. I mean, he's he's just completely out of his mind in it. But Kilmer's very good in that. But I think The Doors and Tombstone are, when you think of Kilmer, it's pretty amazing because that's a Kurt Russell vehicle, Tombstone. He kind of took control of it. But when you think of Tombstone, you think of Doc Holliday. And it's his icon. It's crazy. He wasn't even nominated for an Academy Award. And I don't know who won the Academy Award that year. What year was it? He would have been up for Best Supporting Actor. So 1993, let's pull this up just to embarrass. Best Supporting Actor. Let's see what comes up. Well, that's a pretty good one. It's Gene Hackman in Unforgiven. Wow, they both passed within a month. Little more than. That's wild. All right, so maybe that probably holds up pretty well. That one holds up pretty good. But rest in peace to Val Kilmer and a lot of joy that he provided during my lifetime, absolutely. The Jackets provided a lot of joy last night. 8 of them, 8 goals. The playoffs are on, kids. We warned you. They answered the call on Game 1. We will get to that. Loaded up on a First Friday Miracle Edition. Get your Hey Guys questions into the fellas. We'll get to those at 11. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Common Man and T-Bone here for the ESPN Bet Sportsbook inside Hollywood Casino Columbus. Bone, did you know that the college basketball championship game is coming?
That's right. You want to go to HollywoodColumbus.com to reserve a table and guarantee your spot for that, for the draft watch party, all kinds of good stuff. You know what draft?
What draft?
All the draft.
We can't say it, but it's a big draft.
Plus, with their Tea Time giveaway, you could win a golf cart or $10,000 in pen slot play Sunday, April 27th.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Look, there's feelings, and then there's the facts. If you're feeling like your finance team is bogged down in mundane manual tasks, the fact is you need Ramp. Ramp is the corporate card that makes the expense process fast and easy. The moment your team makes a purchase, Ramp handles everything. Receipt collection and approvals, the works. With Ramp, you can cut your month-end close from 5 days to 1, customize approval workflows, and get complete control over every transaction. Facts. Over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America, which is why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. Facts. Start using Ramp and you'll have more time to spend scaling your business, and that'll feel really good. Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey friends, Beamer here. I've got to tell you, losing almost 70 pounds with Awaken 180 has absolutely changed my life. My motivation from the start, it was crystal clear. Get healthy, be more active, and become the dad that I wanted to be. All thanks to Awaken 180, well, that mission has been accomplished and then some. This program didn't just help me drop the weight, it completely reshaped my relationship with food. I've learned so much about nutrition and eating healthier, it just comes naturally now. Everything's easier, whether I'm running around after the little guy, hopping on a plane, middle seat, that's no problem. I've avoided that for years. That's not ideal, but I could do it. Life just seems a little more accessible now. And the best part, hands down, being active with my son. More energetic, more involved, fully present for every moment with my family. Trust me, nothing beats that feeling. And if you're ready to make that kind of a change for your health, your family, and your life, call Awaken 180 today, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com. Again, that is 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Hi, this is Ron from the Good Feet store. Are you standing on painful feet all day? Don't lose hope. We want to help you live without pain. Discover your options and visit goodfeet.com. Or stop in today at the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway in Grove City.
The tournament is underway. Is your bracket a big pile of trash like mine? Big voice guy took it on the chin this year. Anyway, check your standings in the Fan and 10 TV Bracket Challenge.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew, Ohio Bottled Buckeye Bowl.
The most accurate bracket, not mine, will take home $1,000. Check your progress at 971thefan.com. Wasting time has never been more fun. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Did you know 38% of Ohio's teenagers have spent money on gambling in video and online games? Items like mystery boxes, skins, and spin to win mimic gambling, putting children at a higher risk of experiencing a gambling disorder as an adult. So get in the know about youth gambling. and start the conversation with discussion guides, parent resources, and more at changethegameohio.org. That's changethegameohio.org.
Does heel pain make you hobble just getting out of bed in the morning? If heel pain is affecting your ability to exercise and meet your walking or running goals, relief is as close as your local podiatrist. Podiatric physicians are highly trained doctors who specialize in medical and surgical treatment of the foot and ankle. Ohio Foot and Ankle podiatric physicians are available across the state and are devoted to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care.
For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Other than an isolated shower around midday, we should stay dry through much of the afternoon as temperatures climb into the mid and upper 70s. Will be windy and warm. Winds will be out of the south and southwest between 15 and 20 miles per hour. We gear up for strong to severe storms later tonight and through the overnight period. Those will arrive well after sunset, so make sure you have a way to get warnings overnight. With your 10 Weather Impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Erica Calora.
Oh, hey, the best football team in the country's on the best radio station in the country. Congratulations, Buckeyes. Here's to 100 more years together. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan. Distilled sports discussion served in light beer quantities. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Well, we kind of warned you. I think we prepared you for what was coming. And the reality is that the NHL kind of crushed where they're at in the season with what they've done with the schedule. And the idea that the Jackets are going to play every other night and for the next 2 weekends on back-to-backs between now and April 14th. And if they win more than they lose by a decent margin, juxtaposed to what everybody else is doing in the wild card race, they're going to make the postseason. If they don't, they're not. So while this isn't technically the Stanley Cup playoffs, this is Stanley Cup playoffs. You're in it now. And the first one of those was last night. Nashville in town. So I saw this last night. I tell you what, for Tyvis Powell, love the great Tyvis. His ability to show up in really big moments is pretty wild. Like the interception in the Michigan game all the way back in 2013, the national championship game MVP, and then his first Jackets game at Nationwide is last night, and they put 8 on the board.
His first NHL game was the Stadium Series one. Yeah.
It's like the line Kenny Powers uses. I think it's season 3. Is season 3 when Powers is in Charleston? Or not Charleston, he's in Myrtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Myrtle. And he's with Shane, and there's a scene where they're in the locker room, and he goes, Shane, you always know how to come and enter situations in a big way. That's a little bit like Tyvis. He always knows how to enter situations in a big way. So he got a big one last night in an 8-4 win. The crazy thing is, and Bake is watching this with hyper intensity, is that you're also paying attention to what everybody else is doing. So last night, as you win 8-4 at home, the Montreal Canadiens did as well. And so while you have a game in hand, they now get to 79 points and are now 2 points clear of you. The New York Rangers are tied with you at 77, but you have a game in hand on them. So there are, I think the Penguins are probably out of it. You hate to say that for a Crosby-led operation, but feels like they're a little too far back at 71. The Islanders have lost 6 in a row, so it's hard to imagine that being kind of flipped. But I think if you start from the wings on up, so you're talking, and I think Ottawa's, to me, I think it's fair to say Ottawa feels like uncatchable for first wild card. So if we just want to kind of circle our attention around Montreal, the Rangers, the Wings, and us, those 4 for one spot. That's what's going to happen over the course of the next 2 weeks, is those 4 for one spot. In the game last night, Kirill Marchenko netted a hat trick. He is now a 30-goal scorer. He becomes the 8th player in franchise history to score 30. Rick Nash, he was good for the kids out there. 8 times he did it. Cam Atkinson, Jeff Sanderson did it twice. Nick Foligno, Boone Jenner, Ryan Johansson, Brandon Saad also did it as well, also just 1 time. So that was a big part of it. A couple for so you had kind of everything that you needed to have go right did. Monahan back. Fantilli gets 2 goals. Monahan gets 2. It was the type of response you needed with this stretch coming. Dean Evison on the 3-0 lead, but still feeling a little shaky after the first.
We scored tonight early, but we didn't particularly play the right way. And it's funny how that goes, right? Like, we had the results tonight, but the start wasn't good. We were cheating it. We were giving up odd man rushes. We were very fortunate early to not be behind.
And it speaks to the randomness of hockey, right? You can play great and lose because the term puck luck is very, very real. For this very, very young team, though, they will lean on Boone Jenner, Sean Monahan, some veterans who have been there. Here is Monahan on kind of the mentality of this is a one shift at a time situation.
Everyone's bought in to win a game, and I think everyone's got a job to do. And if you're out there in the power play, you got to try and score a goal or get momentum, kill penalties, keep the puck out of the net. And I think everyone's been stepping up, and everybody in this locker room wants to be playing late April.
Evison's been down this road as well, and one of the key marching orders, it's cliche, but sometimes cliches are there for a reason. It truly is one shift at a time, one period at a time. You can't worry about what's going to come over the next couple of weeks. Here's Evison on that.
No different than any other game, one at a time, one game at a time. Our group has done a great job of, dialing that in. I know they're not going to change how we played, even the way, that whatever stretch that we haven't had success, we still were trying to play the right way, and take it one game at a time. We don't get rattled with stuff that's happened within games or the prior game. We just move forward. So I can't see why we'd change that. With how many games we got? 9 games left. So hopefully we know what to do in those situations now.
9 games remaining for your Columbus Blue Jackets. So off today, Colorado here tomorrow. Then they go to Canada, at Toronto, at Ottawa, back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. Then a week from yesterday, Ottawa here. A week from tomorrow, Buffalo here. Ovi, who put another one in last night, he'll be here on Saturday. He's going to break it. We're not getting there. It's not. He's going to break it before. His pace is too much. He's going to break it before a week from Saturday, Reese.
Yeah, it feels like that. It's kind of a shame, but also I don't know if that's anything this team needs right now.
No,
as we get 2 and 1, because I don't know if Gretzky was in Boston last night. He might be in Carolina, or he might wait until they play New York on Sunday. They're playing the Islanders. Because Gretzky will be at a couple of those where he's either at the game to tie or at the game to break.
Yeah.
But you don't need the great one in Columbus with everything else. It would be cool because it's a 12:30 game. It's those 12:30 Saturday games I think are some of the best in hockey because it gives you the ability to enjoy, especially now, what's going to be a great matchup between a really good playoff-ready team chasing a Stanley Cup in Washington and a team that's looking up at the Capitals saying that needs to be us in a couple of years in the Columbus Blue Jackets. But, yeah, don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, I will push back and just say it'd sure be a fun thing to see him here with Gretzky. That'd be fun, like to just see Gretzky in the house. But I just don't think there's any chance it's going to happen. But when you talk about the 9 games left and you talk about every other night, the mentality of that. Reese, we had Porty on yesterday, and he said something in the conversation where he said, we just keep changing the bar a little bit, don't we? And my response to that was, yeah, we're greedy. We are greedy. But he and I both felt that this season will not be determined, is already a success, and that this is just whatever happens the rest of this 2 weeks here through the April 17th when this thing's all, you got 15 days, 9 games in 15 days. Do the math. It's a lot. And so when you do that, this is all just kind of gravy and this is invaluable. But from a fan perspective, we're selfish and we want to see more of this team in terms of getting in. And I do think that it would validate even more so everything that's happened this year.
Right.
If they were somehow able to.
Think of the roller coaster of emotions that this fan base has gone, that this team, that this entire Blue Jackets organization has gone through. Most of us don't know what to do with our hands right now. Because you think at the beginning of the season and the unbelievable tragedy that happens with the Goudreau brothers, and then how this team, this really young team, but with some veterans, fights and then loses a lot of that veteran. Like, you don't even get to start the season with Boone Jenner. And so you're trying to find your way as you're winning hockey games. And a lot to Dean Evison's credit last night, where they didn't play great in the first period, and yet they were still putting pucks in the net. And like, that's a lot from this season, where you go, I don't know if they were the best team for any of those periods, but they found a way to win. And even, as you get past that Stadium Series game, in which I go back to, they weren't the best team for 3 periods, but they beat the Detroit Red Wings. And then you come out of that Stadium Series, and the entire roller coaster of emotions, you go on losing all of those games in a row, but around you, teams are also losing, and so points aren't really being divvied up one way or the other outside of Ottawa, who you mentioned probably won't get cut for that first wildcard spot. Now where you find yourself last night, and it's been sellouts the entire season for Nationwide Arena. Like,
it's awesome.
I don't know what to say to a Blue Jackets fan, but just enjoy this.
Yeah, I think the reason that we have the greediness, the reason that we want more, the reason we change the bar is because anybody who has been around the organization for as long as we all have, you remember that the Tampa moment is an unbelievable moment. One of the most fun shows that I did here in my second stint here at the Fan was the one Threes and I did after they won in Boston. And we led the show with, they can win the cup. They had Bob. Bob was humming. You had Panarin. You had this big bruising line. You were big on the blue line, and they went to Boston and got a split and came home, and you're like, whoa, they might be good enough to win the cup. And so you want that again. And there's a blood in the water as a fan that you want more and more of. And I think whether this manifests in a playoff spot or not, you got a taste of what it's like to be in the mix. And you got a taste. I think last night was really perfect with Marchenko getting the hat trick, with Fantilli banging a couple of goals, Monahan, the veteran, getting a couple of goals. Like, it was kind of the perfect, like, oh yeah, we're just getting started here. But also, selfishly, you don't want this to stop on April 17th. You want to get into that postseason and roll the dice and see what happens on the biggest stage in the sport. 2 separate stories from a transfer portal perspective. One that was as big a win as you could get on the football side of things, and then a couple that were, quite honestly, hollow on the basketball side of things, and how they all intersected yesterday. That's in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Home values in Columbus are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked. So if you're thinking about selling, it's time. Except for 2 things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? TrueHold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. TrueHold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much TrueHold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
And here's what's up on a First Friday. Kind of a weird cross-section of transfer portaling going one way as good as it could go and another way oddly as it can go. Let's start with as good as it can go. Caleb Downs was available yesterday, and we'll have some comments from Downs in just a second in terms of this is what I was talking to this a little bit yesterday. I think the Ohio State football program has never been healthier than it is right now. There's been times when it's been as healthy as it is right now. Certainly early to middle urban, it's as healthy. There's some trestle moments that are absolutely woody, all of it. But this is as healthy. And I think juxtaposed to the climate of college football at the moment, it's even more impressive that they've kind of threaded the needle on how to sell what Ohio State is, the brotherhood, the incredible resources here in Columbus, all of the things that they have to sell. And they've been able to thread the needle with that and then also making it work from an NIL perspective, but then also not being overly leveraged in NIL to where guys are trying to stick it to them every 6 months and jump in the portal. That stuff's not happening here. It's happening at other places. It's not happening here because they have culture and they're selling a very specific product. So I think Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni and the whole staff there, all the coaching staff, they've done just a tremendous job of identifying personality fits. Now, it wasn't that difficult to Nick Saban decides he's going to leave Alabama to say, oh, that's the best freshman defensive player in the country. We'd sure like to have him. That's pretty easy to do. But it's also, it's one thing to identify him. It's one thing to get him to sign on the line, which is dotted. It's another thing for him to be ingratiated into a program and make it feel like it's the only uniform he's ever worn. And that's what they did with Caleb Downs. They did it with Seth McLaughlin, too. We'll see if they're going to do it with Julian Sayin. But, that's what they were able to do last year on the football side. Conversely, on the basketball side, this around this time last year, the big splashes, Michie Johnson and Aaron Bradshaw. This was it. These were the splashes. Michie, of course, started here. I think sometimes people forget that he left high school a year early to come in here. He really still should have been a senior at Garfield Heights, and he came in here a year early. Was here for a couple of years, then bounced, went to South Carolina, was really good, and really good in big moments at South Carolina. He's a second-team All-SEC player in 2024 and had some monster games like at Rupp Arena and huge clutch shots. And you anticipated, when the news of him returning last year became official, that he was going to be a key cog in year one of Jake Diebler. That backcourt was going to be that's the way that it was going to be. It was going to be him and Bruce, and then Mobley was going to come off the bench, or maybe the three of them were all going to play together in crunch time, but that he would be a central figure in all of it. And then he just disappeared in December. Now, we've known for a couple of weeks now that it was a mental health issue, and that is something, and even Michie said this, that, I wish more would have came out of it sooner. I feel like, well, you could have done that if you wanted to be fair. And then the news yesterday, Bake sent this to us, Reese, that Michie was going back to South Carolina, and I said, are you sure it's not April Fool's? That was my first impression. Like, really? I'm going back to South Carolina? But it appears that it's not. It appears that he is, in fact, going back to South Carolina. And we know that Bradshaw's in the portal. He has not found a home. And we're going to talk about this at greater length on the basketball side with Adam Jardy coming up at 11:30. But it's an example of both ways. And certainly the basketball program here is not what the football program is. The football program here is more similarly to Kentucky or Kansas or something like that. Very different. But it is an example of how the portal, you got to hit on this stuff, man. You have to, because there's a financial loss to it that NIL collectives have to make up for. And there also is a program win or loss that can be incredibly detrimental. These two guys were thought to have been, at the time when they signed, difference makers with a capital D. It did not happen. And that's something that you then have to kind of answer to a little bit.
Yeah, I think when they lose to Iowa, you wonder, all right, Ohio State needs to get, better in NIL and do better in the transfer portal. But then you take a step back and you go, well, they kind of crushed it, what we had thought this time last year. And it was like, well, they were just allocated poorly, and the things just didn't work out with the two players that you mentioned. Sean Stewart was good in spots. I haven't heard anything from him yet. I think you're still waiting to officially, which is weird, hear from Bruce Thornton. I know they picked up Gabe Cupps out of the transfer portal.
Is he in the portal, Thornton?
Thornton, not yet. Well, okay. He's not in the portal, I should say. And yeah. I think the expectation is that he's coming back to Columbus. But nowadays, you can't ever assume anything's guaranteed until they make the announcement on their social media. And you had Michi with an Instagram post and then Michi with a tweet that said, I didn't expect it to be this way, but I'm going back to South Carolina. And so for any coach, really, it has to be an absolute, you just make such a gamble with these guys. And they're so young, and you don't know how it's going to shift from one college to another. You don't know how it's going to shift from one team to another. And it does feel like you're just hoping. And hope is a really bad plan in college hoops. In college athletics in general, in life, really. But hope is what they have to do with some of these guys because, especially Bradshaw and Stewart, they're just so limited in their action, their first seasons at Kentucky and Duke, respectively.
You have to, in basketball, the penalty is so much more severe. You can only play 5 at a time.
You lose.
You miss on something like this, it's so felt. So that's the thing that makes it so difficult is you assume when you sign these guys that they are key cogs in a team that we go back to the beginning of the year and said make the tournament. That's what we said. That's what we said for the expectations was get to the second round. I remember doing the show. We were sitting here talking. We said, all right, looks like to me like a roster that should make the second round. Looks like to me a roster that should make the second weekend would be a success if they make the second weekend. And that making the tournament or getting to the second round was kind of the minimum requirement. But we certainly didn't anticipate that Michi Johnson wasn't going to play. We didn't anticipate that Aaron Bradshaw was going to have the minimal impact that he had.
Andy Katz was doing videos in like September or October saying that Michi and Bruce the best backcourt in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
That was the hope.
Yeah.
Like that was what it was going to materialize, and then it didn't.
No, and so this speaks to the difference between trying to build a basketball program and trying to build a football program. When you have a freight train running downhill the way Buckeye football is right now, you don't have to take gambles on anybody. None. I mean, Ryan talked about that yesterday on Juice when he talked about his recruiting philosophy. Like, they open the doors. There's no gambles here. This is who we are, right? You want to come to NFLU? This is what you're signing up for. This is what you get. And so they shop in a different district than the basketball program shops in. But these two, I think when you look back on this past season of Buckeye basketball, you're going to look back on Michi and Aaron Bradshaw as the what ifs, or quite honestly, and to be perfectly fair, they're both playing the game here a little bit, right? I mean, this is that, and I don't begrudge them. This is the game to be played. If you're Aaron Bradshaw, you probably got a nice check from Kentucky. You got a nice check to play here. He's probably going to get a decent check. There might not be pro potential for him. He's got good length, but that's about it. So it's hard to imagine a scenario where he's some sort of NBA guy. So the money that he could make, it's very possible for Aaron Bradshaw and maybe Michi Johnson, probably Michi too, the most money they can make as an adult is right now. It's right now. And they have to maximize it. Now, they both could play overseas, and you can make good money overseas, but I don't know that anybody looks at these two guys and says, yeah, that's somebody who's going to play in the association. So this is their chance to maximize it as much as possible. They didn't maximize it here, and so you play the game and see what else is out there and try to get another check. This is third school for Aaron Bradshaw. It's going to be. Michi's already been to 2 twice. That's what it's going to be for him. And I still don't understand how any of this works academically. We're still acting like they're student athletes. How the hell does this work? How are we eligible?
Because, right? Like, I just go back to thinking, they're, championing Haley Van Lith for taking 3 different schools to the Elite Eight. It's like, is that what we want to be doing here?
Yeah.
Like, the portal's so difficult, man. It's open through to April 22nd, so I think players have until then to put their names in, and they can kind of just stay in there. And so I wonder, like, with the first day you saw more than 700 Division I athletes go into the men's transfer portal for college basketball, how many are still going to be in there on April 22nd?
Oh, my. There's not enough
Couple hundred
spots. There's not enough landing spots, Reese. There's not. There's not enough scholarships. So, no, there's not. And in college basketball, you feel it when you miss it. You feel it as a program when you miss it because there just aren't as many. You feel it as a program when you hit it on the football side, and the Buckeyes hit it as big as possible with Caleb Downs. He was available yesterday. Certainly a chance to be a 3-time consensus All-American. It's pretty heady waters when you talk about that. Get his impressions of Matt Patricia early on, his taking on more of a leadership role as well. Also, Ryan Day mentioned that he was a little bit nicked up. You'll hear it exactly from Caleb in terms of where he is physically. That's coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip or up to $1 off per gallon on your next tank of gas. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
Did you know even the smallest increase in mortgage rates can cost you thousands of dollars over the life of your loan? Hi, I'm Mark Stefanski, Chairman and CEO of Third Federal. It's true, even a 0.25% change in rate can cost you thousands of dollars over the life of your mortgage. But with Third Federal's new Early Rate Lock, you don't have to take chances. Early Rate Lock is the only pre-approval that locks in your rate at pre-approval, even before you find a house. Plus, we're so confident that our rates are the lowest, if you find a lower rate, we'll beat it or give you $1,000. And now through April 15th, get pre-approved with Third Federal and we'll pay all of your closing costs. So don't wait. Call Third Federal today.
Right now at Third Federal, even before you find a home, lock in 6.50%, APR 6.56% on a 30-year fixed-rate purchase mortgage. Visit thirdfederal.com or call 1-800-3RD-FED today. APR reflects 15% down for $350,000 loan amount. Rate requires automatic payment program and is subject to change. Restrictions apply. Zero closing costs on low-cost loans only. See conditions for lowest rate guarantee at thirdfederal.com. Equal housing lender.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking. An account that's filled with features, but no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. Because it's your money, right? So we think you should keep it. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Jackets are fighting for a playoff spot, and they need your help. Send your supportive love waves through the radio by listening to Jackets coverage here on The Fan. If they lose, it's your fault. No pressure. The Fan.
Progressive understands that bond between you and your boat. But imagine if something happened to it. Without the boat, you're just Tina with too much boat knowledge. Sure, it's helpful on the water, but with no boat, you're someone who talks way too much about knots, and no one cares what a jib is anyway. Boat Tina could get away with it because she has a boat. So make sure your boat is insured. Get Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer, and then go back to being you, Tina, who owns a boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sinks overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Cosby Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Our top men are working on everything except this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
It's rare in life and sports and what we do when the anticipation for hype of something, whether it's a player or an event or whatever, actually lives up to and then exceeds the expectation, the advanced billing. And we got that twice last season with Ohio State football. You got that with Jeremiah Smith, who you started to hear whispers about in February. Way to get a load of this kid. And then when you got a load of this kid, you were like, oh, maybe even better than we had. So basically, we got Julio Jones as a true freshman. That's a win. The other one was Caleb Downs. And I remember texting Three's start of spring football last year and just saying, hey, give me some guys who are going to be around. I need some numbers for the boys. They want some, new Buckeye jerseys. Like, what are some numbers of some keepers? And the first one he sent me was 2. 2's a keeper. Like, that's going to work. And Caleb Downs was all of that. And he's one of those guys. It's interesting that I think it wasn't until it was probably the Oregon game or maybe shortly thereafter last year where I got access to some all-22 stuff and was able to see everything that he does. Because I think early in the year, it was like, well, if he doesn't have interceptions, he doesn't have sacks, he doesn't have forced fumbles, and what's he doing? But then when you saw the all-22, and we would talk to Tyvus on Mondays and Fridays, and we would talk about this. And when you saw the all-22 film, then it became obvious. Oh, he's everywhere. He's a human eraser, is what he is. And it ends up going in the books as just an all-time start to a career, 2 years in to be a first-team All-American at Alabama and then to do it again at Ohio State and win a national championship in your second year and now come back. It's just a wild example of as good as you thought someone would be, they met it and exceeded it. Now, there were some eyebrows raised earlier this week when someone asked Ryan Day about Caleb Downs playing running back, and he mentioned that he was kind of dealing with some nagging injuries. So Caleb was available yesterday and was asked about the injuries and where he's at with all of that. Here's his response.
It's been good for a learning aspect of it, just learning from Coach Patricia, learning about his defense, learning how I might fit in that and how we're going to play. With the limited reps, it's been good just to see myself in the positions that I have been in and be able to watch people play and coach my teammates, which is always something that I pride myself on, being a good teammate. So I think it's been good.
Have you been able to do team stuff?
A couple times, just doing what I can. Done multiple days of team speed.
What sort of injury were you dealing with or are dealing with?
Oh, I'm good for the most part. I had the most snap count on the team last year, so just limiting plays like that.
This reminds me of like at the towards the end of Joe Thomas's career with the Browns, and you'd say, "Well, is Joe practicing today?" Joe doesn't need to practice; he's good. That's kind of where we're at with Caleb. Like you're good. And this is kind of the example of modern college football guys from the perspective of this guy played, as he just alluded to, more snaps than anybody on the team. He needs body rest now. And it's just going to be different going forward for these guys. There's nothing to be concerned about. He's going to be just fine. But there's also no reason for him to get beat up over a bunch of spring practices. So this is veteran maintenance in a sport that never used to have it. I think that's the simplest way I would describe it.
We're doing veteran maintenance for a sophomore?
That's right. That's where we're at.
That's college football, baby. You can put it in stone now. He's going to have a rushing touchdown this season.
More likely rushing or return.
I'm still going to go rushing.
Bodes?
I'll go return because I've already seen him do it.
That's the thing. Last year, you'd been there, done that. Like, new challenge this year.
I should have. Let me amend it to special teams return or interception/fumble return. Like, if you take interception, fumble return out of it, more likely special teams touchdown out of Caleb Downs on a punt return, kick return situation, or rushing touchdown. You don't got to feed 1 and 32 anymore now.
Like, I can see them try to pitch it to him to the outside or give it on a wide handoff, and he just says bleep it and just goes up the middle. Like, it's like almost the reverse of what he does when they send him on a blitz inside. Like, just a missile.
It's going to be one of those things if they want to chase individual accolades with him the way Colorado did with Travis Hunter. But you got to be careful.
I was going to say, is it worth it, though? Like, if you're planning on playing 16 games again.
It's not. You answer the question, you know the answer. No, it's not, because there are too many, to Bodie's point, it is not worth it. There are too many young guys who need to have, and I don't think you can monkey around with it. I think that you have young guys who need to understand what it takes to play 16 games. You're going to have a new quarterback who has no experience, no matter which guy ends up winning it. And I think you need him to anchor the back end of that defense and be the true leader. I don't think you can screw around trying to get cutesy and win individual honors. I think the individual honors will come, and the ultimate prize is to try to be back-to-back national champions. I think that's the only goal. I don't sense that you can have that type of cutesy stuff with Caleb Downs next year.
I could see it in the Ohio game or the game against Grambling, because I wonder, like, in discussions about getting Downs from the portal, we're not just throwing this against the wall, because wouldn't that be a fun thing if we could get Caleb Downs meaningful reps on offense? It's been discussed when we know it's been discussed in that building. And so if it's there, I don't think they're just doing that to just placate him.
So the question, I think the threshold you would cross is he needed on offense?
No.
Is the running back? Well, we don't know because we haven't seen these backs. That's a good point. I don't know. I don't have Travion Henderson.
And if you
they recruited well, but I don't have Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. I know what they were.
That's a good point. And if you put him back there against Grambling or Ohio, you're making every single team think about it. You're making Jim Knowles think about it. You're making, I don't know, the Michigan defensive coordinator.
I was going to say, you said Jim Knowles. I'm like, why does he? Oh, wait, that's right.
You're making Michigan think about it. You're doing whatever you can, I think, if you're Ryan Day, without risking serious injury, to make Michigan feel as uneasy as possible for that game in Ann Arbor.
So I was doing a Garage Beers podcast last night with some buddies, and they asked me about it is. They asked me about the Michigan game, and like the 2 weeks following the Michigan game before they got into the playoff. And it's nuts to say this, but when they asked me about it, I had almost forgotten that they lost the game. That's what those 4 wins did. It almost makes you. Like, you won't. We don't, obviously. We lived it. You saw it. It's as stupefying a loss as I've ever been around in all 25 years covering college sports. It's the most stupefying loss. But it's also like, oh, yeah, that did happen. You do need a pound of flesh for that in Ann Arbor this year. But that was the elixir of a 4-team playoff, or a 12-team playoff and a 4-game run through it, is you had this dominant answer to it. And Downs was such a key part of that. And he's going to be a key part of it this year. And they're very blessed to have him back. And it's the absolute best example of something becoming available because of the rules of the game now, the way that it is played, and maximizing it. And they did it with him, and he did his part too, by God. It was, I'm sure, a hefty price to get him up here, but he earned every cent and then some, and now will be a central part of the Matt Patricia defense going forward. One thing that many of the college football powers have in common is new faces under center. When you start to think about it, it's pretty stupefying. I couldn't come up with a year where I could remember something quite this similar. We'll get into that coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Here's a listener tweet. Can I tase Common Man in the nuts? Fine by us, but he may like it. Common Man and Tebow.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan.
Hey, it's Anthony Rothman here for Germain Honda of Dublin. So what's the difference? There are other Honda dealers around. Well, Rich Newsom and his team want to earn your trust. They don't expect it, and they earn it by giving you a great price, and then they back it up after the sale. With same-day service, no appointment necessary, a great variety of brand new Hondas, and hundreds of pre-owned certified Hondas to choose from, all at the same location. Identify yours at GermainHondaofDublin.com. Germain Honda of Dublin, Sawmill Road, just south of 270.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where we've successfully treated thousands of men for low testosterone and helped them feel like their old selves again. Please take a moment and listen to how we help Billy.
Hi, I'm Billy Hatcher, a former professional baseball player, and I'm a patient at Tri-State Men's Health. Before I started the treatment, it was like my body was sore all the time, and I was feeling very, very sluggish. One day, I would be full of energy, and the next day was like, where did all my energy go? And since I've started, my body hasn't felt this good in a long time. I feel like, I'm not 21 to 25 again. It's just been great. I feel very, very comfortable coming here. When you have the energy, it's amazing. You get to do so many other things that you couldn't do prior to that. If you're tired of hurting in the mornings, you want to improve your health, you want to feel better, give a call to Tri-State Men's Health. I promise you, you will feel better.
Thanks, Billy. It's true. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel, plus low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsareus.com. 380-225-BATH.
That's are us. When dreams sunk in, that's are us.
I need a small order of sheet metal to repair something in the shop. It's not much, but can you help me out?
At Metal Supermarkets, no order is too small.
Wait, really?
Yep.
What about small home projects?
Yep.
For a car I'm working on?
Yep.
Any kind of metal?
Yep.
Cut to size?
Yep.
With no minimum order?
Yep.
How about 1,000 cut pieces of aluminum flat bar?
Yep. Choose from over 8,000 types, shapes, and grades of metal in any quantity you need. And yes, we're serious. Any metal, any size, ready fast. Locally owned on Wilson Road.
Anthony Rothman here for Tel-Ohio. Tel-Ohio Credit Union has been financing dreams and fueling the local economy for 90 years. And as the #1 SBA lender among Ohio credit unions, learn why more than 3,000 business owners trust Tel-Ohio. Visit telohio.org/business.
Spring into a new vehicle at Crown Automotive Group of Dublin.
Luxury, power, and adventure, all waiting for you.
Explore our vast selection of exquisite Mercedes-Benz, the all-new rugged Ineos Grenadier, and the powerful lineup of Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram vehicles. Crown Automotive Group in Dublin is the only dealership in Columbus awarded a J.D. Power Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience. Visit Crown Automotive Group of Dublin on Perimeter Drive in Dublin.
Or online at crowncarsdublin.com.
Crown Automotive Group, the better way to buy.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Well, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Feeling unsure about preparing your roof for spring storms? Newman Roofing is here for you. For over 30 years, we've helped homeowners understand their roof's condition so they can make the best decision for their home. Stop worrying and call 614-NEW-ROOF or visit newmanroofing.com today. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit VividSeats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Just 9 games remain for the Blue Jackets this season. CBJ picked up 2 huge points with an 8-4 win over the Predators last night at Nationwide. Kirill Marchenko scored a goal in each period, his 3rd career hat trick. Adam Fantilli and Sean Monahan scored twice in the win. It's just the 8th time in franchise history the Jackets have scored 8 or more in a game. With 77 points, CBJ are 2 back of the Canadiens for the second wildcard spot in the East. Montreal won in Florida last night and have 79 points on the season. Jackets are back at Nationwide tomorrow night versus Colorado at 7:30. In baseball, 0 runs were scored yesterday by the Reds, Guardians, and Columbus Clippers. Cincinnati hosts Texas in the rubber match of their 3-game series today at 12:40. Hunter Green's going to toe the rubber for Cincinnati against the Rangers. You can hear Reds baseball on ESPN Columbus with coverage today at 12:10 and get breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Your emails on the air, but we won't tell you where to send them. Hey, we're not doing all the work for you. This is Bishop and Friends.
Jake Trotter coming up in 28 minutes from right now. Second hour of the program. Hey, guys, coming up in an hour. Still time to get your questions into the fellas. The winner there gets the $50 gift card to our great friends at High Bank. So be good on those, and we'll be good to you with a gift to our favorite place. I saw this from end of last week as I was wrapping up spring break from Adam Rittenberg, top 15 quarterbacks returning in college football next season. He had number 1 on the list, Cade Klubnik, number 2, Drew Aller. We'll go over some of the guys on the list in a second, but what jumped out is not who's on the list, but who is not. And I don't mean specific quarterbacks who are not on the list, but rather programs who are not on the list. And got me thinking that when you go around the country, if you go the college football playoff from just last year, of the 12 teams that were in it, Clemson is returning its quarterback in Klubnik. Leavitt is back at Arizona State. Iamaleava is back at Tennessee. Jennings is back at SMU. And that's it. Everybody else, did I mention Aller? Did I get Aller in there?
You did.
Aller, I got Aller. So those 4. 4 of the 12 have returning quarterbacks, but it's even more than that in terms of the teams that hovered around the playoff. If you add Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Bama, Oregon, Notre Dame, Michigan, all new guys. All new guys. I was trying to think back in the years that I've been paying very close attention to college football, a time when so many teams, if you go to the preseason, the way too early top 25s, all of the teams I mentioned they're usually represented in the top 10 in the country, and they're all starting new at quarterback. Now, it's not for lack of talent, just like here. There's a bounty of talent to choose from. Texas is bringing back Arch Manning, and he's on this list. So there's a ton of talent there. Oregon, obviously, loaded. Michigan got their freshman quarterback, so they're loaded at quarterback. So there is talent there, but it's all unproven. And so if you go back to a year ago and you think about if someone would have put this list together, number 1 on this list probably would have been Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, or Shedeur Sanders. Those would have been the 3 guys that were at the top of these lists. And look what happened. The guy who kind of had the last laugh was a guy named Will Howard. But when you look at this, it was hard for me to come up with an example of another year where so many of the traditional powers, so many teams that had national championship expectations are starting new. And here's the other thing that I think is very interesting about this list. Who would you want on this list most juxtaposed to who you have. So if you could pick any of the guys on this list for 1 year, Bode at Notre Dame, Reese at Ohio State, which one on this list would you take for 1 year?
Can I be good?
Yeah, you can be good.
I'm good.
You're rolling with your guys.
Yeah, I'd like the three in the room.
I think I'd take Arch. I'd roll with Arch. I've seen enough out of him to where I would take the, it's not 100% certainty, obviously, but somewhat certainty. Like, okay, this kid can play at least. He's got the pedigree. He's got pretty good genes, too, as well.
I think I'm with you. I like our guys a lot. But if you want to give me, like, to me, the most sure thing on this list, and they have Klubnik number one. Klubnik's 64% completions all last year at Clemson. Now, he's really good in the Texas game, in the playoff. He was very good. And he's 36 touchdowns, 6 picks, all those things. But they have him number one. I don't know if I want to get there with him. And certainly from an NFL perspective, I don't think I can get there with him. Number two on this list is Drew Aller.
No, thanks.
No, I was going to say, no, thank you.
I'm good.
Like, I'll roll with the dice with the guys in the room over taking him. I've seen enough out of him. Maybe he makes the leap this year. We've seen quarterbacks do that before, but I've seen enough the last couple of years from him where I'm just like, I see a huge arm and a lot of God-given talent, but I don't know that I've seen a lot of great quarterback play out of him.
All these guys have that, and I'm with you, Bodie, on you can go down through. I'm still
Nussmeier's
looking.
Third.
I'm past,
no thanks.
I'm past Lagway at Florida at 10. Kevin Jennings, I'm good. Arch Manning. I keep going back to with Arch Manning, and this is just in the idea that I'd rather have Ohio State's quarterback room over Arch Manning, because in that Cotton Bowl game where there was some issues for Ewers and people were clamoring for Arch to throw him in, I said to myself, and I keep saying it to this day, if Steve Sarkisian looked at his bench and saw a better quarterback on that bench, he's putting that better quarterback in. It's a college football semifinal game. You're not monkeying around with feelings at that point. Yeah. But he didn't, so he didn't put anybody else in.
I just kept coming back in my head that there must have been some arrangement with the Ewers and Mannings. Like,
I agree. Honestly, I'm with you, Bo, on that.
Anytime we talked to people from down there, it just felt like no matter what, it's Quinn. No matter what. Like, they made a deal with him. I don't know. I have nothing to back that up other than just circumstance. Your point is well made, and I think it's hard for me, too, because you watch it, you go, I remember at one point we had a Texas guest on in the lead up to that game, and I'm like, is there something wrong with Arch here? Like, is there more to this? And they're like, no, he's just in his second year, and they want to be really patient. It's like, there's got to be. There's got to be more to it. And Quinn was good. Quinn had a good year last year, but there were just these moments where you thought, and by the way, they did go to Arch in the Georgia game. Early in the year, they went to Arch in that game and didn't go. Now, it's a tough spot, to be thrown into that. But you look at this, so this goes back to, it's funny, you guys had the same response I had to Aller, and you hate to do that. He's an Ohioan, so I don't want to bury the kid. But one of the craziest things that I dealt with in December and January with the Brown stuff I do was like people clamoring for Drew Aller. It's like, wait a second.
That was weird.
Have you watched him play football? Yeah, he looked good against SMU. Okay. Like,
Ken Jennings had like 9 turnovers in that game.
Yeah, I think, and on a frozen tundra, they got SMU Boise State. That was their path, and it was like everyone was all excited about that. And it's, well, wait a second now. I mean, how much Drew Aller have you watched? Because I'm with you guys on him. So it goes Klubnik, Aller is 2. Think of this from an NFL perspective when people say wait on next year at the quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier's 3 on this list. I'm good. I don't understand that one at all. Johnny Meter at Oklahoma. So he's the transfer from Washington State. He was fine at Washington State. I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched a lot of Washington State last year. So I don't know what he could be there. Lenore Sellers was really good at South Carolina. He was really good. Big-time playmaker. He has the dual threat ability, so he's 5 on the list. Number 6 was Leavitt at Arizona State. A lot of moxie there and was really good. But if you look at his stats from last year, just 62% completion percentage. That's way down from where it needs to be. Beck, a year ago at this time, Carson Beck, if you would have bet odds on the number 1 pick in the NFL draft in a month, it would have been Carson Beck. He's at Miami, and he cheated on a caboter.
And I don't think Georgia was like super bummed out that he's not going to be playing for the Dogs next year.
I think that's a good read out of you. I think that's probably right.
As far as Miami quarterbacks that like get the U, it feels like Carson Beck's behavior over the last like month or so. He gets the U, brother.
Yeah. I think he probably does. He's also coming off a major surgery. Other than Aller, the highest-ranked Big Ten player on this list, and this will make Fish happy, is Luke Altmaier at Illinois. He's 13 on the list. But this is all fresh faces, guys. It's fresh faces. It's new guys, and we're going to have to learn a bunch of new players to see who can have impact or not. But in the end, I just keep coming back to a scenario where it's hard for me to find any way that Arch Manning isn't great. It just doesn't feel like – it feels like he's curated for this. And he's a better athlete than people realize. He's 12 on this list. 6'4", 225. Puts his nose down and runs. Well, we're going to get a first-hand look at him right away in week one. So I guess to answer the question of who would you rather have, our room or Arch Manning for 1 year, you're going to find out right away. First game of the season. But the overarching theme here, though, folks, is this. The traditional powers are all starting new. And in terms of if you're an NFL team trying to draft a quarterback and you're saying wait till next year, what are you waiting on? What's the sure thing? I don't think there is one. I think there's going to be guys who are going to have to elevate, and I think that Manning's probably going to play at least 2 years starting at Texas. I see no scenario where he leaves after this year. So you're going to wait on him a couple of years before he's ready. This is going to be a lot of guys with a lot to prove. Cade Klubnik, number one on the list of best quarterbacks returning in college football, tells you where the sport is right now and that there is a vacuum and that a bunch of young guys need to step up. In terms of where the sport is, one of the most powerful men in the sport weighed in on what is exactly happening in college football right now in the lead up to this big decision, which is coming April 7th on kind of the future of the sport. You'll hear his comments on just how chaotic it is coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic. Oh, yes. Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Hey there, friends. Bo Bishop here. Spring weather has arrived, and we all know what that brings. Warmer weather and severe storms. Well, when bad weather hits, we all know it can cause leaky roofs or even damage to your siding and gutters. The Roofing Guys are your local experts in roofing, siding, and gutters and more, providing top quality through every roof, every time. So it's just a small repair, full replacement, or even peace of mind. You need to contact my guys, the Roofing Guys, 614-626-7000, or visit them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply.
Men over 40, struggling with low energy, not feeling like yourself. Low T Center's testosterone replacement therapy is the solution. Get started today. Visit one of their conveniently located clinics, meet a medical provider, and get back to feeling your best. This April only, the consultation is free. Treatment is tailor-made just for you, and it's covered by most major insurance. Get treated at one of the Low T Centers or from home. Why wait? Book your appointment now at lowtcenter.com. That's lowtcenter.com.
Discover uncompromising quality at a reliable price with Giant Eagle in Market District. Look for signs throughout the store highlighting lower prices. Surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle. Experience value like never before. Visit Giant Eagle today to see how easy it is to save.
Home values in Columbus are sky high, and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market has peaked. So if you're thinking about selling, it's time. Except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high, but you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? TrueHold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. TrueHold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much TrueHold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Hey friends, Austin Ward here. Free for life. Just by saying that, you already know I'm referring to Awaken 180. They're the only company providing it. Fast, proven weight loss, and then keep it off thanks to free support for life. Awaken180weightloss.com.
After an audit of our programming, the suits here at the Fan decided we needed more baseball. And that common man is stupid. Good news. We fixed one of those problems. Catch the Reds on the Fan all season long. Yay, baseball.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
Nearly 90% of Ohio's children grow up, learn, and dream at one of our public schools. As lawmakers continue to hammer out the new state budget, they must make sure the school funding formula reflects what it actually costs to provide a great education for everyone. Tell your lawmakers to keep their promise to Ohio's kids.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Other than an isolated shower around midday, we should stay dry through much of the afternoon as temperatures climb into the mid and upper 70s. Will be windy and warm. Winds will be out of the south and southwest between 15 and 20 miles per hour. We gear up for strong to severe storms later tonight and through the overnight period. Those will arrive well after sunset, so make sure you have a way to get warnings overnight. With your 10 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Erica Calora.
Buckeye games have been airing on WBNS since before you were born and before your parents were born and before Abraham Lincoln was born. Trust me. Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is. It's sponsored, as always, and proudly by our friends at Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for over 78 years. That's a timely little lead-in back here with the General Sherman through Georgia, because that's where we're going right now. Kirby Smart, post-spring practice availability yesterday, kind of laid out what's happening in the sport at the moment. It's something we've talked about. When you hear it from someone like him or Ryan Day, you take attention. Now, there is some hope in the sport that there will be some sort of guardrail with this April 7th decision on how this is all going to break out. 105 kids on scholarship and, $20 million is coming. I'm going to be very candid with you. I don't think it's going to do much of anything. I really don't. I don't know that there will be any sort of cap on any of it. I do think, and James and I talked about this adamantly when he and I were doing the show, that there will be market correction, but that the market correction will come from the donors, not from the schools and not from everybody else. So Kirby Smart kind of weighed in on myriad topics, but a lot in regard to what is happening now in the sport. And one of the things he touched on was how he thinks there eventually will be a market correction to what is happening in college football at the moment.
We've talked about the House settlement. The biggest thing going on is you got two dates you're operating off of. There's a portal date, there's a House settlement date, and there's a lot of people doing they're not illegal things. They're just manipulative money things to try to move this, move that, so I can free up this. And what's going to happen? There's probably going to be a bubble or a spike, and then agents are literally trying to take advantage of that every minute they can. They want to get all they can for their client. But at the end of the day, it may backfire because there's going to be a correction in the market at some point when this cap hits. If the cap is truly what the House settlement wants it to be, if there is truly a cap, if you just keep trying to front load and pay out people, and what's going on in basketball now and football now, people are trying to beat a date, then what's going to happen when those people expect that same money the next year and it's not there because you're in a cap, like there's going to be a correction eventually. And I don't think any of us know what's going to happen.
No, he's right on that. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm very dubious to think that any cap is going to stand in any sort of court of law without it being collectively bargained. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse or sound like a record on repeat, but the reality is until they call them what they are, which is professional athletes, there's really no way of corralling any of that or putting a cap, because they're going to say, why would we limit what an athlete can make when we don't limit what a student can make? And until you call these guys employees and until you put them on contract and are collectively bargained, to me, there's no real path forward that is going to lead to anything. And Smart weighed in on that with, I think, what we all want. We all want guardrails. I don't know that anybody wants competitive balance. We're going to get to his comments on that in a second. That's not what college football has ever been. College football has always been a very clear delineation between the haves and the have-nots, and it's a big gap. So I don't think you want that. I don't think anybody wants an NFL model where every team is given the same opportunity to win through the draft. That's just not what college football has been. It's always been a class system. Smart did weigh in on the idea of competitive balance, but also dubious to think that it's going to lead to much.
There's stuff going on right now, guys, in college football. I mean, there's people reaching out to have a Zoom call and present all the players they represent that are on teams, including our teams. And they want to invite people to the Zoom so they can watch and see who's going in the portal or shopping who's in the portal before the portal. Do you want to get on the Zoom and look at all these players? I'm like, well, what if some of them are mine? I mean, it could be one of the most legendary, moments in all of college sports with what's coming up on this ruling and how people are going to try to manipulate a cap when all we're trying to do is make for competitive balance. And it's really unfortunate that I don't know if competitive balance is going to come out of it. I don't know if the kids win in this model that we currently have, if they win long term.
They win short term because money spends. So they win short term. I'm going to pose this to both of you guys. We're knee deep in the muck, right? We do this every day. We're aware of what's going on. When Kirby Smart says stuff about, get on a Zoom call and these are the guys that I'm representing that are available, that isn't shocking to us because we're living it. We do this every day. When you talk to your friends who are big-time college football fans, but maybe not in it day to day the way that we are, do you think they are aware? And I know for a fact the casual fan is not aware at all. Do you think they are aware of what is happening day to day in this sport?
No, not a clue.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Especially when you really start counting in the figures. I don't say this to act like, I know everything. I'm far from the top of that list, but I did hear from somebody maybe that works here, maybe not, within the last couple weeks here, how much Jeremiah Smith is going to be making this next fall. And look, if you follow the sport, it's not super hard to figure out probably ballpark where it is, but yeah, if you kind of are more of a casual fan and you said the number, you'd be like, what? A sophomore? But I mean, obviously we saw it on the field last year. He's probably worth it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think to that point, if you had the figures for Michie and Aaron Bradshaw, I think there would be people out there be like, they're making, excuse me, what? Or Carson Beck even, or this fall when they get the Michigan quarterback, who probably nobody outside of what we do every single day has really even heard of or thought much about, getting $10.5 million from Larry Ellison. When that starts to get explained to casual fans, their head's going to spin. Be like, wait, the Oracle guy gave Michigan how much for a quarterback, and now he's starting at 18, and that's where we're at right now?
It's not even the Oracle guy.
Well, then you get deeper into that.
Whose life partner went to Michigan,
like his third
was
wife.
Spurred on by Dave Portnoy to get a 5-star quarterback who was committed to LSU to flip to Michigan, who never wanted to be there, for $10 million over 4 years, and it's going to end up being a lot more than that. And then they bragged about it. No, I don't think so. And you honestly, for a gross many of you out there, I don't think you care about it. This was one of the things that I pushed back on really hard last year when we started to when these numbers started to leak out. You mentioned the Jeremiah Smith numbers. Man, I'm just not going to watch. I can't watch this anymore.
BS.
I can't watch this with some 18-year-old kid making $4.5 million, or it took $8 million for Nico Amalieva to play at Tennessee or whatever. This I don't like it. This isn't college sports. Bolsheviks It's a lie. You all watched. You watched in droves. You watched the playoff. You watched all of it. You saw what the audience was and what the appetite was. Folks, you did a college football playoff this year with honestly no planning, quite haphazardly planned. You did it in windows that make no sense. You did it on networks that you're not used to watching college football on, and it was still a smashing success. Smashing. None of this affected any of it. The reality is that so many people do not care how the sausage is made. They just like to eat the damn sausage. And that's the reality of it. So what Kirby's fighting for here, it's the same thing that Nick Saban was fighting for. It's the same thing that Urban Meyer was fighting for. It's the same thing that Ryan Day was fighting for. I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years ago where Saban said we need an NFL model. Urban said that. Good Lord. When was last year? Was Urban here? Last year, Urban here was 18? That's 7 years ago, guys. And Urban said, we need an NFL model. 7 years ago. Well, why did they want it? Because they want to be able to control their rosters. And they want to be able to coach kids hard. And they want to be able to hold kids accountable. Well, you can't do that. And it's not truly. You can't do that in a world where they can be free agents twice a year. And just reset their own market whenever they want. Can't do it. I do think that from a monetary perspective, these house settlements and inevitably the boosters will be fatigued by what they're paying these guys. You mentioned the Jeremiah Smith numbers, Bodes. I mean, that it's hard for people to wrap their head around a 19-year-old running around campus doing that. But at the same time, would you begrudge a country music star who bursts on the scene at 19 making $25 million? No, of course you wouldn't. And how's this any different? It's not, except for the fact that, and the only way that it would be different is if it were collectively bargained and he had a salary and he was a specific part of the salary cap. But the only way to do that is to call it what it is. And it appears to me, fellas, they're no closer to that than they were a decade ago. They're fighting like that like heck.
Yeah, the idea that for the past 30 years, the inaction by college football decision makers have gotten us to this point. And college football decision makers are complaining about where college football is. It's like, well, you made it like this. Whether it was with your actions or your inactions, you should have seen this coming 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And the fact that you're just going to do committee after committee and you're going to do lawsuit after lawsuit and congressional hearing after congressional hearing, and you're going to wind up in the same exact spot while players just continue to do what it is they want when it is they want to do it. Back just to the point about explaining it to a casual where college football is. Yeah. A player for Wisconsin just up and left.
Yeah.
And went to Miami and will be starting this fall for the Hurricanes. And nobody could do anything about it.
Reese, he didn't even enter the portal.
Nope. Just left.
Just left.
Why bother?
Why does
he
it matter?
Where he's going. Yeah.
I mean, that's
just a waste of time.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
He saved everybody time.
Yeah, that's where we're at in the sport. We'll get some perspective on this and the quarterbacks around the league and around college football coming up with our good buddy Jake Trotter. He joins us in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
It's been a great run. Care Heating and Cooling has achieved goals I could only imagine 30 years ago. But now it's time for the next generation to take over. This is Mike Weens, now the retired founder of Care Heating and Cooling with my sons, Dennis and Ryan.
Dad, as Care grew over the years, you had many opportunities to sell Care to one of the big conglomerates that are buying companies all over Central Ohio. So tell our customers why you decided to keep Care in the family.
After talking about Care's values for over 30 years, I couldn't bear the thought of Care becoming the kind of company I was warning our customers about. I know the two of you will continue to treat our customers as I would, with honesty and integrity.
We will, Dad. In 2024, Care was awarded a BBB Torch Award for Ethics and was named the Lennox Partner of the Year. You don't earn those awards by leaving cat toys behind.
Call Care Heating and Cooling at 1-800-COOLING or schedule an appointment online at careheatingandcooling.com. When you need a company you can trust.
Attention kingdom-seeking business professionals, entrepreneurs, and investors in Columbus. Are you ready to experience a life-changing event that will elevate your faith, finances, and future in 2025? Then you won't want to miss this. Join us for Life Search, featuring champions of faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center for an extraordinary one-day event that will empower you to transform every area of your life through the power of faith. Prepare to be inspired by an incredible lineup of champions, including college football champions Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, three-time national champion head coach Urban Meyer, sportscaster Kirk Herbstreit, two-time national football champion Tim Tebow, and more. These champions have experienced firsthand how faith transforms lives, and they'll be joining Life Search to share their powerful stories and insights on how to integrate faith into your business, finances, and every aspect of your journey. Seats are selling fast to this unforgettable event, so don't wait. Head to lifesearch.com now to secure your tickets before they're gone. Life Search featuring champions of faith, Saturday, May 10th at the Schottenstein Center. Don't miss out. Your transformation begins here. Visit lifesearch.com today.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Let me introduce you to a man with a magnificent salt and pepper beard. A man who's currently roasting lamb on a spit. A man who runs the Rocky River Greek Festival. That man is Jake Trotter.
He is your senior college football reporter at ESPN. He joins on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline, and he does so, I am told, from sunny Arizona. Early in the morning out there, buddy. How's the vacation going so far?
Just got here yesterday, and it's like 38 degrees outside, Bo.
What?
I know.
What happened?
Supposed to go on a hike today, but I'm going to have to bundle up.
What's your outlook look like? What's your forecast looking like in the Valley of Sun?
It's supposed to get warmer. Yeah, it'll get warmer later today, but it's not, it's not in the 80s here.
I'll tell you, it's one of those things that in terms of a surefire hot this time of year spring break location, continental United States, there aren't any that are like guarantees. There really aren't.
No.
Maybe way South Florida is you might be able to get into it a little bit there. Well, we appreciate you joining you from the vacation. Before we get into all of the football chatter that I want to discuss with you, favorite Val Kilmer role?
You know what movie I really liked a lot? And I don't know if it was a good movie or not. I watched it a lot as a kid. The Saint with Elizabeth Shue.
It's great. He's absolutely great in that.
What is it? Cold Fusion was the energy source.
I think Elizabeth Shue as like a some sort of molecular physicist could have. That was a big ask. I think.
Yeah.
The Russian oligarch in that was a good villain. Yeah, I remember that very well. My friend.
Tradiak, I think.
Tradiak. That's right.
I don't know how I remember all this.
Because you watched it 1,000 times as a kid, and for us, when you're a little younger than me, but when you're around our age, like stuff was on cable and you watched it when it was on. It was kind of that simple. It's hard to describe to kids now. We've got a big house settlement coming up on April 7th. We just did a segment on some comments that Kirby Smart had yesterday about what's going on in the sport. And I think Ohio State has probably mastered, and I say that loosely because I don't know anyone can master where college football is at the moment, but mastered threading the needle of selling something that is very specific with an NIL base behind it, but also being willing not to take risks on players who are maybe just chasing that almighty dollar only. When you talk to folks around the sport about where it is right now and this house settlement that's coming up in 5 days, what are they hoping to get out of it? And do they believe that there will be true guardrails and some sort of structure to the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think the consensus is that they're hoping for continuity and stability because that does not exist right now. And again, we don't really know what maybe some of the unintended consequences of the house settlement are going to be. There always are some, but I just think having, and we're not there yet. We're not anywhere near the NFL model yet, but with the NFL, you have a salary cap, you have free agency, you have contracts. I mean, I think that's what, especially, college football coaches and even some of these front offices in college now are hoping for, because right now it's just it's absolute chaos. I mean, I can tell you of teams just last year where NIL really affected their seasons because they had players trying to negotiate increases in salary while the season's going on. I mean, how do you manage that? I mean, imagine if Myles Garrett, during the season says, I want, we're in week 8, I want a new contract, I'm not playing.
That's right.
It would just be, an absolute chaotic situation, and we're getting there in college football. So I think the hope is that the House settlement will bring a little bit of calm to the situation. But again, it's still going to be the Wild West to some degree.
Yeah, and it's going to agents, and they're going to manipulate it. Whatever comes of it, it will be manipulated to the highest degree. And I just said this in the previous segment, buddy. Nick Saban was saying this years ago. Urban Meyer was saying this in 2018. We need an NFL. That's 7 years ago. Now we need an NFL model. Yeah. Saban was saying this 5 years, half decade ago. We got to have an NFL model. This ain't it. This ain't working at all. And the one thing that I've had so many people, I'm sure you had this too, as you made the transition from the NFL back to college. So many people say that they're turned off by, for example, how much money some of these kids are making in college football. But the reality is that everybody's still tuned in droves to watch this product. And it hasn't turned off really anybody in terms of actually watching the sport. And I don't think, Jake, that people who follow it casually, you and I were knee deep in the muck on it, but people who follow it casually, I don't even think they're aware of how crazy this is right now.
Yeah, I mean, the argument I would make against the people that are turned off by what players are making, it's just there's too much money in the system. This is not 1985 where, the head coach is maybe making 6 figures. Right now you have coordinators making 7 figures. Mm-hmm. And for a while there, before NIL, you had universities just building capital projects, one after the next, because they had to put the money somewhere because they had so much of it. So there's just too much money in the system right now for players not to be paid. And, the price tag, we're seeing it with the NBA. We're seeing it with the NFL. It's a little staggering, when guys making $300 million, $400 million, baseball, it's been like that. Mm-hmm. Get ready. It's we're going to have some pretty high price tags, for college football players. I mean, imagine if Jeremiah Smith decided today he was going to transfer, what he would command on the open market. I don't think people are prepared for what that kind of money is going to be, but it is coming because, like you said, there's a lot of money in the system because people are still into it.
I don't know if people here would be able to understand how much he's making next year. Here without going to the free agent market. I think some people here would be shocked I know they would. I
got an article coming on Jeremiah here in a couple of weeks, and I was asking some NIL agents, if he was on the open market, what would he make? And I was blown away. Yeah. It'll be in the article, but it's crazy. But he is unique and special. But again, it is. If you're just a top 20 quarterback, you're making well into 7 figures if you transfer.
Yeah. It's wild, but they let it get to this point. And I always tell people when they push back on it, and even if they push back on the Miles money or the baseball money, I'm like, well, look, they're not paying them that if they don't have it. So the money's there, and it's just a matter of
Jimmy Haslam or Myles Garrett. I mean, take your pick.
Take your pick, one way or the other. I was looking at Adam Rittenberg, your colleague at ESPN. He had a list of top 15 quarterbacks in college football next year, and one thing jumped out to me: Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Bama, Oregon, Notre Dame, Michigan. 8 of the 12 college football playoff teams, all new quarterbacks. And even traditional, like Oklahoma, transfer quarterback coming in. So much unproven at the quarterback position. I couldn't recall in recent, I'm not going to put you on the spot to say, can you name a time like this? But just off the top of your head, a time in college sports where so many of these marquee programs are starting over at quarterback.
Yeah, I can't recall. I mean, it's definitely happened before, but I can't recall the season. It has been a long time, and it you know what it makes me think of? It makes me think of Tyves Powell's Penn State Nittany Lions, because they are the one team that's the outlier in that. They have a veteran quarterback who I think has first-round talent in Drew Aller, big Browns fan, by the way. And they are all in on this year. I mean, they hired Jim Knowles. They have Andy Koltanecki, their offensive coordinator from Kansas a couple of years ago. They've got, I think, Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Aller, the best running back combo coming back in the country, kind of reminiscent of Judkins and Travion last year. They have some holes, but when you're Penn State and you can't get over the hump and you can't beat the good teams, and now you're the only team, not just in the Big Ten, but like you said, almost among the blue bloods in college football, you're the only one with a veteran quarterback. If you can't make it happen this year, it's never going to happen.
I know you're new to this relatively in terms of.
I know. Here we go.
I just prepare yourself for the inevitable disappointment of Penn State football. I just want you to be ready because
I don't think there was a team that drove me more insane last year than Penn State.
If not now, when, right, for James Franklin?
Yeah.
If not now, when? But even when you talk to folks over there who have been around it a long time, like it's kind of they are so snake bit by Franklin in big games that and I think people sometimes forget like their path was SMU at home, then Boise State. Like that was their path. Like last year in the
they didn't play a top 5 team until Notre Dame, and then they lost.
Yeah. So
November 1st in Columbus, I think, right?
Yep. That'll be a scene.
The game.
That'll be it, brother. All right. So when's the Jeremiah piece drop? A couple weeks, you said?
Yeah, like mid. I know it's after the Ohio State Spring Showcase, but before the draft. So somewhere in there, I can't remember exactly.
By the way, Ryan's calling it a spring game now.
Are we back to spring game?
Well, Ryan is. He's the boss. So it seems like he wants to play a game. He's got a lot of young kids who need some game reps. So could be fun here in a couple of weeks. So look forward to the piece, buddy. Enjoy your vacation. Thanks for making some time for us during it, and hopefully you get a little bit of heat out there.
Yeah, enjoy the warmth in Columbus, Bo.
Yeah, right. And the rain and everything else. There he is, Jake Trotter, joining us on the Bryan Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We hit a little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Wake up with the Fan. Eat lunch with the Fan. Go to bed with the Fan. Dream about the Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
April 6th at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Rewards members get $5 off an acai bowl or an acai bowl with Nutella. Log into the app on April 6th to redeem your rewards. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, where our erectile dysfunction treatments are shown to be effective in nearly 90% of cases. Listen to what Alex has to say about our ED treatments.
I have been experiencing problems with ED, but that's all changed. My name's Alex, and I've been a patient for Tri-State Men's Health for under a year. I highly recommend this. Every day I wake up feeling good compared to I was back in the old days. It change is more exciting. You know, I don't have a problem with ED anymore. I'm having a lot more fun. I was very comfortable. I was always comfortable in any conversation I had with Tri-State Men's Health. Yeah, I just want to let gentlemen out there know that you do not have to live with ED, that it is not just an aging process. It is also hormonal and balance and everything in your system. And once you get that under control and everything, you do go back to your youth a lot in how you feel.
Thanks, Alex. It's true. If you're like most men, we'll help you get your sex life back. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Hey, it's Leslie from Pella Columbus.
I'm Wilson from that other window place.
And today, Pella's excited to announce our 100-year anniversary.
Cut! Leslie, you accidentally said 100 years.
Not an accident, Wilson.
What?
When you do the windows that look the best, you tend to stick around for a while.
I can't compete with that. Buy from her.
Get the windows that have been around for 100 years. The windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
Hey, it's Anthony. Of course, I sit and do the show 3 hours a day. But after that, I'm looking to get things done and enjoy the spring weather. So I want to be on my feet a lot, playing golf, working out, just moving around. I was introduced to the Good Feet store because my feet were aching way too often. And what I found there is a 3-step custom arch support system that has me feeling awesome. My personally fit arch supports have helped realign my feet, reposition my body into a more ideal position, and not only that, strengthen my feet to help support me. It's made all the difference in how I feel every day. The Good Feet store is going to help you where you need relief and find the arch supports that work best for you. And when you wear them as a system, their arch supports are more effective at long-term pain reduction and elimination. So go in, take the free test walk. Good Feet arch supports are immediately available. Their products are proudly made in the USA. They're on Polaris Parkway and on Stringtown Road in Grove City or at goodfeet.com.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
The Blue Jackets are making a push for the playoffs, and they can't wait to fire the cannon right in your face. Wait, that was a touch violent. I'll try again. It would be helpful to chart their progress right here on The Fan. Thank you kindly.
Thinking about buying your first home? Now, with Third Federal, you can buy your first home and pay no PMI. Hi, I'm Mark Stefanski, Chairman and CEO of Third Federal. Private mortgage insurance, or PMI, can cost thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. And you may not realize PMI doesn't protect you. It only protects the lender in case of default. But at Third Federal, you can buy a home with just 5% down and no PMI. Plus, first-time home buyers get $750 off a closing cost. So if you're thinking about buying your first home, go for it and visit thirdfederal.com.
Even before you find a home, lock in 6.50%, APR 6.56% on a 30-year fixed-rate purchase mortgage. Visit thirdfederal.com or call 1-800-THIRD-FED today. APR reflects 15% down for $350,000 loan amount. Rate requires automatic payment program and is subject to change. Restrictions apply. See conditions for closing cost coupon at thirdfederal.com/FTHB. Equal housing lender.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Producers, co-hosts, friends, some of those things are true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on the first Friday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Apex Plumbing Pros.
All right, on Tuesday, five-star wide receiver Chris Henry Jr. at a Mater Dei in California announced that he was shutting down his commitment. He'd been committed to the Buckeyes since June of last year and had official visits scheduled this summer for Oregon, USC, Miami, and Columbus. And now it looks like Henry will just be taking that official to Columbus. Thing or not a thing?
Well, huge thing. I mean, he's got next, right? So I think he's the number one receiver in the class. He's been committed here for a long time. So that leaves any ambiguity about his commitment. That throws that out the window, and so he's locked and loaded, and they are locked and loaded from a succession planning standpoint with what Hartline has done in recruiting that position. It's just unprecedented. Just go one after another, and he's going to have next. So I mean, that's huge. He'll follow Jeremiah in those footsteps. Get 1 year with Jeremiah, right? Because he'll be here next year. So it'll be Jeremiah's third year. He'll be able to be in the mix then. So that's pretty good succession planning.
Yeah, I'll say a thing as well. I'm going to take the kid at his word, which probably is very stupid in today's college athletics. But I'll take him at his word and think he's an honest kid. I'll say it's a thing. Obviously, like you just said there, Bo, what Ohio State's done with their wide receiver room over the last handful of years is just ridiculous. And for a program that recruits really well at all positions, the quarterback and receiver room, if you were to have a down year at linebacker, defensive line, even offensive line, the quarterback and wide receiver room can help make up that gap, because if you can just put points on the board, you can beat anybody in the college football playoff, and Ohio State's gotten themselves to that level to where they can do that.
Isn't the story with him the tragic passing of his father, who played at West Virginia with Pac-Man Jones, and then Pac-Man Jones kind of came on to help guide the kid, and I think still does. It's a pretty cool story, overcoming a lot of tragedy.
It is the 6'5", 205-pound Henry. Was the 9th overall prospect in that class, the number 2 overall wide receiver. His 24/7 Sports composite rating is .9934, so definitely a big fish to land, and not, as of right now, have to worry about Oregon, USC, and Miami making bigger offers, which they will likely do in the months ahead. Late last week, the NFL announced the Chargers hold the international marketing rights for Greece. LA's controlling owner and chairman Dean Spanos said, quote, "The homeland of my family, Greece, has left an eternal imprint on my heart. So when the opportunity to grow NFL football and the Los Angeles Chargers brand in Greece presented itself, we simply couldn't pass it up." Los Angeles is going to officially kick off their efforts in Greece with a 2025 NFL Draft Day 3 pick live announcement from Athens, the Greece version. Thing or not a thing?
Can you imagine, if you will, and this is my perception, I could be very wrong. I've not been to Greece. I've heard it's lovely. I would like to go. It's on a bucket list. Can you imagine going to like some mom and pop in Santorini and being like, "Hey, Chargers, let's go." Right? Let's go.
Go
Bolts.
Chargers, go.
Go Chargers, go. Like, hey, these are our guys, man. Like, they're going to use a draft pick from here. Let's go to the draft party. Let's Chargers it up. Let's bolt it up. Like, it's just so forced and so nonsensical. Like, you get this turf? What the hell is that even? The international marketing rights to Greece? Like, who do the Browns and Bengals? Who are their international marketing rights to? Who are the Steelers? The Irish?
They're Dublin.
Because Rooney was the ambassador to Ireland, so then they get Ireland? Like, is that how this is working? Like, teams around the globe are just picking countries that they have international marketing rights to? What the hell is going on?
At the end of the month, the Browns were awarded the marketing rights to the Nigerian market.
Nice.
Are you serious? Did that happen?
This is from the Cleveland Browns website. As part of the NFL's global marketing program, the Browns became the first club awarded the Nigerian market.
Because of Njoku?
Oh.
What's the connection?
The Rams got the rights to the United Arab Emirates.
Feels like that's a win. A lot of cash there.
Imagine introducing some of those people to Jim Harbaugh. Like, check out this guy right here.
All right, I got the list. Okay, here it is. Here's the list for 20. This is unbelievable. So, the Browns have Nigeria to themselves. The Rams ended up with South Korea to themselves. I feel like that's a pretty good win, and they have it to themselves. The Rams also, boy, the Rams have a lot. The Rams have international marketing programs with Australia, China, New Zealand, Mexico, South Korea, Japan, and the United Arab Emirates. All of them. They have more than anybody else. They got 7 markets that they have right. How did they get all the rights to all the markets? The Rams. Where are the Bengals? Did the Bengals get one? The Bengals don't have one. Of course. Not a single.
It's not enough pie.
Flipping one. Not one. I'm looking at the list. So the Steelers have 2. We were right. They have Ireland, and the Steelers also get Germany. So the Steelers get 2. The Colts are a near team. They're part of Germany and Switzerland, but they're sharing with a bunch of teams. Detroit gets Austria. They get Austria, Brazil for the Lions, the Germans for the Lions as well. The Lions also get a little piece of Switzerland. That's wild. That's absolutely wild.
So does that... When I read the thing about Greece and the Chargers, I thought, all right, so there's probably going to be a Chargers game played sometime in the next 5 years in Greece.
I guess.
Should I also assume similarly the Browns will play in Nigeria?
Wow.
Sometime in the next 5 years? Because isn't that where we're going? Like, you're doing the international marketing gimmick in respective countries so that a team can play in said country.
There are only 2, looking at this, there's only 2 African nations who are represented. Ghana with the Eagles and Nigeria with the Browns. So those 2 teams play preseason every year against each other, and the coaching staffs like each other, front offices like each other. It would make sense for them to play the first international game in Africa. I'm not familiar enough to know what city or stadium. They hosted a World Cup in South Africa pretty recently, so they would probably have the infrastructure to be able to host something like that. How about this? Like Canada, like if you were awarding Canada NFL teams as marketing programs, wouldn't the Buffalo Bills be number 1 is my first thing. And then if not the Bills, then you would say okay, all of the teams that are bordering states. And so they have the Seahawks. Okay, makes sense. Stone's throw from Vancouver. Minnesota shares a border. Michigan, Detroit, Lions shares a border. The fourth team that Canada got is the Cardinals.
Sure.
Why would you randomly just? Oh yeah, you can have the Cardinals too. Yeah, we don't want them. We'd rather have the Bills.
I think Arizona would go more Mexico if I had to guess, but
Mexico's got a lot, Bodes.
Okay, they
Your
definitely
Cowboys,
got Dallas. Yeah,
your Cowboys, Denver, Cardinals, Houston, Kansas City, Raiders, Rams, Dolphins, Steelers, San Francisco, all Mexico.
So it looks like there is Lagos National Stadium in the city of Lagos, Nigeria, can hold 45,000. And so that's where a rugby club plays. Their national.
That doesn't feel NFL, right? That doesn't feel NFL ready.
Well, no, but you do it because I think the international marketing agreement is for 5 years. So in the next 5 years, can you NFL ready
Go to
a rugby
what's the
stadium
town
in Lagos, Nigeria?
All right, you go to Lagos, Nigeria, and you show up with a bunch of Browns gear. Here you go. Here's your team.
Assuming you just start barking?
Come again? Just bark at them?
Good Lord. You can't really say, here we go, Brownies, because look at you be like, huh?
Wait, what? All right. Final hour of the program up next. We'll do some Buckeye basketball with Adam Jardy. Where are they on filling this team out amidst a portal that is ever evolving? We begin it, though, with a little bit of, hey, guys, still time to get your questions in. We do that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Common Man and T-Bone are idiots. You should listen to them anyway.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
The Fan, Ohio's idiot destination.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I always have the greenest lawn in the neighborhood. It's luscious. I swear by two things, water and Weed Man. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will make sure your lawn is weed-free and looking gorgeous. Of course, they get rid of weeds, but they also do aeration, mosquito control, grub control, crabgrass prevention, and flea and tick control for your four-legged friends. For a free quote, give them a call, 614-733-3747, weedmanusa.com. Tell them Common Man sent you.
Yeah, boss asked us to get the Ohio Lottery kiosks ready for the new $20 scratch-off, $2 million extreme cash. With $38 million in total prizes, we had to go big. We had cup holders, monster truck tires, even installed air horns, in case somebody reveals the extreme symbol and wins every prize on the scratch-off. Boss thinks the light show's a bit much, but gotta celebrate $2 million top prize winners somehow. So yeah, play $2 million extreme cash from the Ohio Lottery. And if you can tell my boss I did a good job, that'd be cool too. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter, and spring is here, and it's time to refresh your yard with Ohio Mulch. With 15 convenient locations in Central Ohio, it's easier than ever to get mulch ready for the season. Now through April 5th, get 5 bags of red, black, or brown mulch for just $10.95. Need it delivered? No problem. Save $50 on home delivery when you order online. Visit OhioMulch.com today and spruce up your yard with the best.
Ohio Mulch, landscape supply, cleaner, greener, better.
Sometimes you don't realize something was bothering you
until it's gone.
That's how you're going to feel
after we work our magic at your house.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Hey folks, Austin Ward here. You know, there was a time if you handed me a bread basket at dinner, it was like feeding a gator. You might lose a finger. Bread, pasta, pizza, man, carbs were undefeated in my life. That is, until Awaken 180 weight loss came in and flipped the script. Look, I've run the gauntlet of diets, and each time, carbs won by knockout. But Awaken 180 isn't a diet. It's a whole new playbook for changed-up lifestyle. We all know it's necessary to lose that weight, but this is to keep it off. That constant carb craving, the one we all shrug off as normal, gone. Sure, I still love my pizza. But here's the difference. Now I don't need it. So now, most times when that waiter hustles over with a basket of temptation, I just grin, give a little nod, and wave it away like I'm passing on a Fourth and Long. Because I'm in control now. Awaken 180 isn't just a game changer, it's a life changer. Trust me. Call them at 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com. Your future self will thank you.
Look, there's feelings and then there's the facts.
If you're feeling like your finance team is bogged down in mundane manual tasks, the fact is you need Ramp. Ramp is the corporate card that makes the expense process fast and easy. The moment your team makes a purchase, Ramp handles everything. Receipt collection and approvals, the works. With Ramp, you can cut your month-end close from 5 days to 1, customize approval workflows, and get complete control over every transaction. Facts. Over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America, which is why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. Facts. Start using Ramp and you'll have more time to spend scaling your business. And that'll feel really good. Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Hey there, I'm Jack.
And I'm Stag.
We're just two deer that want to make sure you know it's deer season at your authorized John Deere dealer. The deer season that saves bucks. You know, like us.
Yeah, you can get $3,000 off select John Deere machines. No early wake-up calls or tree stands required.
Just a trip to your authorized dealer before June 2nd.
If you ask us, it's the only deer season worth celebrating.
Visit johndeere.com/deer season to find an authorized dealer and for complete finance details.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. We've got day baseball in Ohio's Queen City. The Reds host the Rangers today at 12:40. It's the rubber match of their 3-game series. Texas blanked Cincinnati 1-0 last night. The Redlegs cruised to a 14-3 win on Monday. Hunter Green's going to start today for Cincinnati. You can hear Reds baseball over on ESPN Columbus with coverage starting at 12:10. As for the Guardians, Cleveland looks to avoid the San Diego sweep versus the Padres today at 4:10. Ben Lively will oppose Dylan Cease for the Padres. In the minors, the Columbus Clippers were shut out by St. Paul last night in their home opener. The Clippers will host the Saints tonight at 6:15. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets beat the Predators 8-4 last night at Nationwide. CBJ are 2 points back of the Canadiens for that second wild card spot in the East. Montreal is going to host Boston on Thursday, while the Blue Jackets are back on home ice tomorrow night versus the Colorado Avalanche. You can listen to Blue Jackets hockey and breaking sports news when it happens, all on the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little Hey Guys on a First Friday. Hit it, fellas.
Nothing is off limits. Your participation is required. Just use the hashtag #HeyGuys and ask anything you want. Do it now.
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 3 restaurant locations, Grandview, Gahanna, and now in Westerville. Drink local. Drink High Bank.
And the winner here is you, because our favorite Hey Guys question right now receives a $50 gift card to our friends at High Bank and that free distillery tour and tasting for up to 10 people. High Bank, home of the best blended whiskey in America, 3 years running. It's right here in town. Go ahead, Reese.
So we got a couple on the YouTube chat. We got a couple on Twitter. The cool thing about the YouTube chat is I can read them in real time. And sometimes I guess that could be a bad thing if I don't read it carefully enough. But we'll start with Dustin in the YouTube chat, who asks, hey guys, you can perform one walk-off grand slam to win the World Series, Hail Mary to win the Super Bowl, half-court buzzer beater to win the NBA Finals, or a face-off goal to win the Stanley Cup. Which one do you pick?
I'm not a baseball guy anymore, but it's the grand slam to win the World Series. The tension that builds with it, the drama that builds with it. Didn't win a World Series, but Kirk Gibson in my youth hitting the home run in Dodger Stadium against the A's, against Eckersley. There's something about the buildup with baseball that I think makes that the winner. And then it's the coolest celebration. You got to go to every base, baby. You get to trot to every base, and it's not over until you touch all 4, and your entire team is waiting for you at home plate. The football one is a mob. I mean, they're mobbing the players, they're mobbing the quarterback, they're mobbing everybody. Basketball, same thing. Everybody's being mobbed. You're just being tackled. Hockey would be the same. Baseball's the only one where you kind of get to spike the football yourself a little bit.
I think if I were to do a Grand Slam walk-off in the World Series, or at least a walk-off home run, I'm doing the Macarena to first base. I might be doing the cha-cha slide to second base, and then maybe try to moonwalk to third base before walking all the way home and like lightly tapping my left toe on the plate. Oh, and then I'm throwing the bat into the outfield.
Yeah.
Like the bat flip would be pretty epic there.
Did Joe Carter's win the World Series with the Blue Jays? Or I know it won a game, but did it win the World Series? He walked off the Phils and Mitch Williams in like 93. But I can't remember if that won the World Series or if that won.
So they won it in 93.
They did, yes. But I can't remember if Carter's home run won it. And we want to say they won in Game 6. So it wasn't a Game 7.
Yeah.
If Wikipedia is correct, it says Game 6 of the 93 series, it was a 3-run walk-off home run to win their second consecutive championship.
That's got to feel so good. That had to feel good.
I remember watching that one live. Yeah.
That was only the second time in MLB history, once again, according to Wikipedia, that the World Series ended on a walk-off home run. Also happened in 1960, Game 7.
Bobby Thompson?
Bill Mazeroski.
Yeah, Bill Mazeroski with the Pirates.
Beat the Yanks. Yep.
Nathan asks on Twitter, hey guys, who is the player from your favorite team that you often think, imagine if they had stayed?
Burrow. I mean, Burrow staying. Now, it wins. You get Haskins and Fields, and you wouldn't have had either one had Burrow stayed. But if Burrow stayed, let's say he wins the job and stays, and you get those 2 years he had at LSU here, that is a storybook story for the all-time. If he wins a Heisman, throws for 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns, they're perfect, and they win a national championship, and he's from Athens, Plains High School. I mean, that's... Again, everybody won in it. We got Haskins and Fields. He won a little bit more because he had the greatest season maybe in the history of college football. But that's the one that comes back. Can you, as popular as Joe Burrow is, can you imagine if he would have done all of that here?
And then got picked by the Bengals? No.
Number 1 overall. Like, come on.
Like, he's governor of Ohio, despite who the citizens actually vote for. Burrow's a good one. I still think Claret was the first thing that came to my mind.
Sure.
Was if he were to return and at least do 4 years of college, like what that would look like for Ohio State, and then the ripple effect that would create through college sports.
Yeah.
Bo, do you got one?
I'll go. You guys are going to laugh at this, but hear me out. If Notre Dame was so good on the ground in 2017, but poor Brandon Wimbush, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
No.
But that team was pretty strong. They were good on defense. They could really run the ball. If Kaiser had come back for his junior season, I think they could have found their way into the 14 playoff and maybe made some noise there. I think that was the year 2017. That would have been when Bama beat Georgia in OT, if that sounds right, or maybe on a last-second field goal, give or take.
Bama or Clemson.
But we played Georgia. We lost by 1 point that year in South Bend. It was week 2, so it was early and whatnot. But I think that year was pretty gettable. None of those teams were totally dominant. So I know nobody cares about that one, but maybe in my heart, maybe that could have been the year. Because otherwise, I don't know. There's a small part of me that's I don't know. If Joe Alt came back last year, we still aren't beating Ohio State. I can't really. So, I don't know. Maybe if Kaiser comes back, gets in better shape for his junior season, or maybe it would have been his senior year technically. But, yeah, nevertheless, I think maybe we could have made some noise in that 4-team playoff if we
remember how salty. I think Brian Kelly feels the same way. Do you remember how salty he was by Kaiser leaving?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it cost him quarterback recruits going forward because he was so bitter about it. I was just talking to an NFL draft analyst yesterday who had Kaiser in the elite category as a prospect. And I still think, you talk to people around the Browns, the position, I was talking to Zagura about this yesterday, the position that he was put in never gave him a chance.
No.
But he really had all the tools. He just got broken.
Big. He was pretty talented. He could be a bit inaccurate, but yeah, maybe if we would have landed in a little bit better of a situation, maybe it could have worked out better for him.
Rand asks in the YouTube chat, hey guys, what is a TV show or movie that your girlfriend or wife enjoys that makes you cringe?
any reality show. Any reality show. So she starts, you start getting into the Real Housewives of fill in the blank, Stupid City, and I just leave the room. I'm out. Before kids, I used to do something else that was far more reprehensible anytime that she would turn on those things to just drive her nuts. But now with children, I keep it PG and I just go in another room if she goes down those roads. I will say it is important, whether husband, boyfriend, whatever, to find some ground. For example, last night, I'm 2 episodes behind on Gemstones, and I turn on the one from 2 episodes ago, and it's Kelvin and Keith talking about Satan's urine, and I look over at my wife, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to make you watch this. Let's reset. Let's rewatch the most recent episode of Lotus. Let's watch that. That's given her a chance to succeed. I've watched The Gilded Age for her, and I enjoy that. So you have to find some happy mediums out there, but I cross the line at any Real Housewives of fill in the blank.
So I think I'm more of the culprit in this, where I have things that make her cringe more than she, and she won't put me through some of the stuff she likes to watch, knowing that I didn't know there was a Love is Blind Brazil. There is. But to her great credit, she's never once been like, can we watch that?
I'm single, so maybe I don't have to. I'm in the boat of I don't have to watch anything that technically I don't want to. But yeah, I'll kind of join in on it a little bit as well. I've dipped my toes in the water just to see like what's the gist here? What do people like about this? And I still don't really get it after seeing some of it. The Bachelor, kind of what you said there, Reese, or the Love is Blind shows. They're just, I'm sure in a way they're so dumb. You get some comedic value out of it, but I just don't know how people watch that year after year. I'll throw in also as well, if I can, some of the singing shows. They're not terrible, but we've gotten to a point to where there's so many, like The Voice and American Idol's back, and they got, Carrie Underwood's back on there. She won the dang thing 20 years ago. Like, there's so many of them nowadays where it's like, I don't even know how you keep up. And I don't know, just let me know when they win and when they start having when they make a name for themselves, and then I'll check out that.
I tried to do Masked Singer. I wanted to know, how is this show coming up on 10 years of production? And I still don't get it.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody out there that wants to let me know the appeal behind the Masked Singer, please do. But we have to pick a winner here.
I was thinking of the biggest asks I've had of my wife of something to watch.
Browns football's mine.
It's up there. Gemstones. That's a big ask.
Oh, it gets weirder.
It's a big ask.
So much weirder.
There's so much male nudity in this season. It's a lot. So there's even more coming. Yeah. Eastbound and Down was that was one where I didn't even try. I was just like, all right, this is a half hour we're going to spend apart. You're not, because it's big for us to watch shows together. And the other one that was a monster ask was Banshee. That was a monster ask because the gratuitous violence and everything else in that was so over the top. And she did watch that with me, but there was a point where she's like, yeah, I'm good. And she bailed on 1923. She's like, I can't do it anymore. I'm out. So that's one that actually broke her the way that any of the Real Housewives shows would break me. Was it Nathan Reese who had the one about player who never left?
Do you often think, what if he had stayed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Nathan.
I think, the Burrow one is just one of the all-time. And the cool thing about the Burrow one is you still won. You still got Fields, you got Haskins, you got all this incredible football. But the Burrow staying what if is an all-timer. It just is in terms of all-time Ohio sports legendary stories. So, Nathan, congratulations. You get the $50 gift card to our great friends at High Bank at the Distillery Tour and Tasting. Stop by High Bank's 3 locations, Grandview, Gahanna, Westerville. Enjoy their award-winning spirits for your next happy hour. Make your reservation at highbankco.com. Drink local. Drink High Bank. What exactly is the plan for Buckeye basketball? Not just now, but going forward. And how important is it to you? We'll get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We're known for 3 things: games, conversation, and Common Man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection. One that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. At Giant Eagle, we combine exceptional customer service and quality foods, all at great value to make the most of your shopping trip. Visit Giant Eagle or Market District today to see how easy it is to save.
1-800-GOT-JUNK makes space for possibilities.
When our clean, shiny truck arrives, it's the sign of a new beginning, a clean start, a breath of fresh air.
All the animals start giggling, a rainbow appears, and music fills the air.
Your best friend calls with happy news. Every table has fresh flowers on it, and your nights are full of candlelight.
We bring the springtime.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
Men over 40, struggling with low energy, not feeling like yourself? Low T Center's testosterone replacement therapy is the solution. Get started today. Visit one of our conveniently located clinics, meet a medical provider, and get back to feeling your best. This April only, the consultation is free. Treatment is tailor-made just for you and is covered by most major insurance. Get treated at our centers or from home. Why wait? Book your appointment now at lowtcenter.com. That's lowtcenter.com.
When your sump pump is no longer sumping and pumping, please don't become a sump pump grump.
A sump pump grump thinks whacking the pump will make it start working again.
But it never does.
Get Eco.
ECO.
A sump pump grump will let a faulty sump pump completely ruin a perfectly good day.
Fortunately, I've invented a solution.
No more sump pump grump?
No more sump pump grump.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Tell me about it, Jerry.
The solution is that you get Eco to do a sump pump inspection.
What would that include?
We check your pump, your battery backup, and all the downspouts and drains along the way to make sure everything is running clear.
How much?
That's up to you, Aaron.
Jerry, Eco would be happy to do that for just $89.
That's a great price.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
Go to geteco.com.
Ryan Day's Buckeyes are back on the practice field as they get ready for whatever the hell they're calling the spring game. And we're your home for all the on and off field gossip. Your Buckeye flagship station, The Fan. The Fan.
This is This Date in Reds Baseball with team historian Greg Rhodes.
On this date, a new tradition was born in Reds history. Back on April 2nd, opening day, 1984, the late Bob Howsam had returned that offseason to serve as president and general manager of the Reds. And Bob had a few fan-friendly innovations he debuted that season at Old Riverfront, including the popular beer garden. But the most memorable didn't occur until the second inning of that opener, when center fielder Eddie Milner homered. And as Milner headed towards first base, suddenly a flash of light and a big boom. The first fireworks display to salute a Reds home run. The fans loved it. And after the game, the fireworks went off again in celebration of the Reds winning that home opener, April 2nd, 1984, the day fireworks became a part of Reds history. This date in Reds baseball.
This Date in Reds Baseball is brought to you by the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, presented by Dinsmore. Celebrating greatness, preserving history, providing inspiration.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Other than an isolated shower around midday, we should stay dry through much of the afternoon as temperatures climb into the mid and upper 70s. Will be windy and warm. Winds will be out of the south and southwest between 15 and 20 miles per hour. We gear up for strong to severe storms later tonight and through the overnight period. Those will arrive well after sunset, so make sure you have a way to get warnings overnight. With your 10 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Erica Calora.
If your idea of the perfect radio show is all Buckeyes all the time, then it's your lucky day, Slappy, the Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan. Find us on YouTube. Search WBNS Radio and you can see what Bo looks like. But only if you subscribe. This is Bishop and Friends.
Adam Jardy going to join us in about 12 minutes from now. I remember having a conversation with the great Scooney Penn, one of my all-time favorite Buckeyes and all-time favorite humans. And this was towards the end of Thad and the beginning of Holtman, and the idea was, what should Ohio State basketball be? And I thought his response was one that not only hit home, but felt fair, felt like there was a standard, but felt fair, and one that I've kind of applied to it since he said it. And that was this. Not blue blood, not Kansas, not Kentucky, not North Carolina, not Duke. You're not entitled to that. And maybe not entitled to Michigan State, but right under that. Right under it. So what does that look like? What that looks like is win the Big Ten every 5 or 6 years, make the Sweet 16 on a semi-regular basis, make a Final Four once a decade, be in the mix as a national champion once a decade. That's kind of what that is. That's kind of what it is. So when you think about if you're all comfortable with it, is that fair? I mean, you guys are Columbus natives. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Or is that too high now? Have we drifted so far that's too high?
No, it's fair. And I certainly don't think it's fair, and I think that's what's made it so frustrating because of how far that the program right now is from that. And how far it's been from that. It's 3 years running without an NCAA tournament appearance. And it's been even longer than that since there's been legitimate success. No, so Scooney's point is absolutely valid. That's the bar, and the program should always be at that bar. Like, it should never take a year off. Like, damn what's happening in the sport. Like, Ohio State, don't tell me Ohio State doesn't have the resources, both financially and from a basketball standpoint, to meet and exceed that bar. Meet every year, but exceed 2 or 3.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Eric. I know in this world, NIL kind of changes everything a little bit to a certain extent in college athletics and especially college basketball. But come on, man, it's been a dozen years since they got out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. That was the floor for Thad
That's
Matta.
unacceptable.
And I know it was a different era, although in some ways was it? Because let's be honest, these guys, especially in college basketball, I feel like might have been the dirtiest of all the dirty sports before NIL came to be. But nevertheless, yeah, it's not what it has been, that's for sure.
Starting in 05-06 with Thad, his second year, they went 26-6. Then it's 35-4, 24-13 NIT, then 22-11, 29-8, 34-3, 31-8, 29-8. They went Sweet 16, NCAA Final Four, Elite 8. That's a 4-year stretch. The 1 year they didn't get to the Final Four was the 2010-2011. They were 34-3. They were the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament that year. But that's 15 years ago now, guys. That's how long it's been. Then it petered out for Thad. It absolutely did. I think sometimes people forget the last 4 years where it went 25-10, 24-11. That was the D'Angelo Russell year when they got to the second round out in Portland before losing to Arizona. Then they went 21-14 NIT, and then 17-15 and 16-17. So that's kind of the program's kind of been there for a decade. I mean, that you start to think of it now. Holtman, the early Holtman with Wesson and Keita Bates-Diop and E.J. Liddell, like there were a couple of those times in there where it was like, they were ranked in the top 10. They were high seeds. They weren't able to get into the first round. They were upset. But there was also, you're playing meaningful basketball. You were a team of consequence. But then that started to slip towards the end of Holtman, and this is year 1 of Jake. And to be fair, a lot was put on Jake right away, but this did not go according to plan. As we talked about earlier with Michie and Bradshaw both in the portal, and Michie already back at South Carolina. So I think it's twofold. You have to, number one, decide what the minimum requirement is from a fan base perspective and most importantly from a booster perspective. What's the minimum? When Ross Bjork talks with Jake and they have conversations with Top Gun Ted and they have conversations with the people that are the most powerful people running collectives on the board, what do they want Ohio State basketball to be? That's the first thing. The second part of it is, are you willing to do what is necessary in this climate with men's basketball to get them to that point? It's a different ask now. This isn't just about charming kids. It's about money. And the reality is that Ohio State is great, good to great, at a great many sports that are not revenue-generating sports. Men basketball is a revenue-generating sport, and we're middling at it right now and have been for 3 or 4 years. So are you willing to do what is necessary to get back to that standard that Scooney and I talked about all those years ago, which is just a rung below Michigan State, which is a team that can win the Big Ten a couple of times over a 10-year period, that can get to the Sweet 16 3 or 4 times over a decade. Boys, we just went through a decade where none of that happened. 10 years. How do you dig out of it? If you were to go to Jake and say, here's my blueprint to dig out of it, what would it be?
Money.
How would you build this back?
Well, I do think he's at least following some of the steps of the blueprint. Was you recruit some of the best Ohio kids, you hit on needs in the portal, but you also, I think, especially this portal run, need to do a better job of getting experience. You know, with Michi, there was some. With Bradshaw, there was none. With Stewart, there was none. So I think it goes back to the point that Chris Holtman had made, I think, on this program, that old wins in college basketball. Mm-hmm. I still think part of that's true, because old does get you there. You know, when you'll see the Final Four this weekend, there's a lot of old. There's Cooper Flagg, but he's a unicorn. You're never going to hit the
Duke's whole team's a unicorn.
You're never going to hit those unicorns. You need to get I'd say, get those 3 pieces. So you need to recruit the best in the Buckeye State. You need to hit well on your portal pieces that both have the talent and the experience. It's a lot easier said than done, obviously, and I do think it's fair if you want to say you've got to give Jake some time with this thing. And it's not unfair to compare it directly with Dusty May, because they're always going to be hand in hand. But May kind of had May kind of cheated a little bit. Now this is legal cheating because he brought Vlad Golden with him from FAU, but he recruited him to FAU.
Sure he did.
So the blueprint, I think, is they're taking steps to follow that blueprint, but it's hitting on the portal guys paramount to anything right now in college hoops.
And to piggyback on your point real quick, Eric, you mentioned some of the guys they brought in last year with Bradshaw, Stewart, et cetera, that maybe didn't have a lot of playing experience. One of the 2 guys that they did, and I know the Michi Johnson situation didn't work out, but one of the guys that they did bring in with a lot of playing time and whatnot was Micah Parrish. And he was a total hit. Like, he was really good. He was a role player for a good San Diego State team. I mean, they played in the national championship game 2 years ago. And granted, they got beat by UConn, but guess what? Everybody was getting beat by UConn the last couple years. And it was really easy to see Micah Parrish going from a guy who's like 8-9 points a game coming off the bench to starter averaging double digits. And that's exactly what he did for Ohio State. And they got to find a way to get, like you said, it's much easier said than done, but they got to find a way to get a few more guys more along the lines of that.
Well, yes. How they go about it is going to be. Guys, here's one thing you can say, and I agree, you can't do Duke because they're all those freshmen, and Flagg is what he is. But like, if you think of the other teams that are like at the top of the sport,
why can't you do Houston?
You ought to be able to. You ought to be able to do Auburn, guys.
I don't even know if Florida. I mean, Florida's not loaded with lottery picks either, are they?
No.
Not the way Duke is, obviously.
No. Florida's another one. There is no reason that Ohio State basketball isn't Florida basketball. None. It should be. That's what it should be. That should be the jumping off point of it, is it should be in that mix. And so it's just a matter of, is there an appetite for it? The guy who's going to know is the guy we're going to talk to in 2 minutes. Adam Jardy on all of this conversation. We are a couple of days from a Final Four that has 4 number 1 seeds, and it feels like the Buckeye program has never been further from that point. We will have that conversation with Adam coming up next in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Hey, Ohio State fans. While others cut corners, like that team up north, Valvoline Instant Oil Change is Buckeye-level quality. We train hard and treat every day like game day. We're always quick, but never rushed. And you can stay in your car while our experts do the work. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Visit valvoline.com/Buckeyes to find your nearest location and access exclusive fan savings.
We've all been there. You come home after a long day, only to find water dripping from the ceiling. Your roof has decided it's had enough. And now, frustration sets in. Another unexpected problem added to your never-ending to-do list. At Newman Roofing, we get it. That's why we make the process simple and stress-free, handling every detail with professionalism, so you don't have to worry and can get back to the things that matter most to you. So, how do you begin? Step 1. Schedule your free estimate by calling our office at 614-NEW-ROOF or visiting our website, newmanroofing.com. Step 2. Meet with one of our trusted representatives who will guide you through the best plan for your home. Step 3. We get to work, and you watch your roof transform before your very eyes. Whether it's your roof, gutters, or siding, the Newman Roofing team is here to guide and support you every step of the way. Call today at 614-NEW-ROOF to schedule your free estimate and experience the Newman Roofing difference. Don't just get a new roof, get a Newman roof.
Buy 5, Save 5 deals are back at Meijer. Buy 5 or more and save $5 or more when you mix or match on items like Dannon Light and Fit Greek Yogurt 4-packs, 5-pound bags of Halo Mandarin oranges, assorted varieties of Kraft cheese, and select 12 packs of Coca-Cola and Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable. Saving money during the Meijer Buy 5, Save 5 sale makes grocery shopping a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Cosby Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
The best hair on the air. You are listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, time to head out on that Bryant Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Conversation with a great friend of the program, Adam Jardy, covers the Buckeyes at the Dispatch. Kind of having a conversation right now as Jake is trying to put this team together, and the Michi news and Bradshaw was expected, but all of these things. And I referenced something of a conversation I had with Scooney Penn years ago, Adam, where I said, what should this program be? You ought to know. And he said, not a blue blood, shouldn't have those expectations, maybe not even Michigan State, but a rung below that. We're a long way from that and have been for quite a while. Is that a fair expectation for what Buckeye basketball should be?
I think so. And I think especially like in the more modern era, I mean, there was some crazy stat where like when Thad got it rolling and he won X number of Big Ten titles in however many years, it was like that was more than Ohio State had won in the previous 50 years or something. Like there's some crazy stats where Thad had it burning so bright for so long that was kind of unparalleled. And I think that kind of success is probably untenable. But I do think it's reasonable to say, yeah, this team should consistently be getting in the tournament. This team should be consistently in the upper echelon of the Big Ten and punching its way into a second, third type of weekend every now and then. And you're right. It's been too long since Ohio State's gotten to that point, and I think the fans are certainly feeling the frustrations of that. My messages all reflect that right now.
Yeah, the hard thing is, and this was what I said after they lost to Iowa was I took some positivity in that because the last thing, so you mentioned it's frustration. You know, you think about the levels of anger, frustration, anger, and then apathy. That's the one you can't have is that one. And that one thing that was refreshing after the loss, I was like, okay, we're not there. People are pissed off. They want the basketball team back to some semblance of what it was with that. Maybe not even the Sullinger, that run, but like somewhere around there. And to get to that point, what is the blueprint for Jake Diebler?
I mean, the blueprint is just to win a more, just win some more games and play a style of basketball that makes fans want to spend the money to go sit in an arena that isn't anybody's top choice. I mean, I think, that you're fighting a bit of an uphill battle as far as trying to get, that home atmosphere that you see when you go on the road and you go to these other Big Ten arenas. I think you're behind in that regard, and you're always fighting for attention until football ends anyway. So, for Jake to get this program to where it's where we all kind of think it should be, I think it's playing an up-tempo, aggressive style of basketball, which I know he wants to play. And it's winning exciting games at home, especially when the fans are watching. I mean, you look at, like, honestly, a good portion of the Holtman era, and it was this team would win games in November and December when people weren't really paying as close of attention. And then when the losing streaks always would hit when the fans were tuning in. And so it's like, well, here we go. This team stinks. And you would kill the momentum that you had as far as, like, building that excitement in the fan base. So, I mean, I think this team, the blueprint is play exciting basketball, win a couple more games, make the tournament, build on it. I think if you do those things, we have a proven track record in Columbus of people getting behind the team when those things are happening.
In terms of putting that, everything you just described, because you and I we were here, we remember the arena is what it is. It's got its issues, and they're married to it now, and there's no going out of it. But when you win, they will come, and it can be electric in there. I remember talking to John Diebler about this years ago. He goes, I love the shot. I said, well, I bet you did. When you played there were 20,000 people, and LeBron was sitting courtside. Like, I bet you did love the shot at that time. So that comes with the winning. Okay, so in terms of the blueprint of how to get the winning done, last year we all applauded loudly the Meechie Johnson return. Aaron Bradshaw, former 5-star guy out of Kentucky. We all said, oh, this is how you do it. Now we're talking. Those did not hit. And in an NIL world, those misses in the portal are times a billion. What did he learn, if anything, from that?
I would imagine that the first thing he learned was you have to not rush. I don't want to, maybe rush isn't the right word, but, things move so quickly in the portal. And I think that maybe last year, if you had a full coaching staff and had a chance to fully, get your feet underneath you and say, okay, here's the plan, here's what we're looking for, then maybe you don't make a move that you come to regret because you have a little bit more time to suss it out. If they in the same situation this year, and would you bring in an Aaron Bradshaw and risk running off a Felix Okpara? I don't think they make that decision this year. So you hope that they learn from some of that stuff. And then I think it's the needing to get potential versus proven production. And I think that they have leaned too heavily into the potential side of the coin there, and they need to get guys that can help right away. And that, honestly, that need might not be quite as great if they do retain everyone that it looks like they're going to retain. I mean, if we're talking about a roster with Bruce Thornton, John Mobley, Devin Royal, Sean Stewart, and kind of go from there, you don't need to go out and get a 15-point a game guard. You have a really good backcourt to start with, but they've got to get some proven post-production in the portal this year, and I hope that that's something that it seems like something that they're seriously targeting, but there hasn't been a lot of good news at the moment as far as guys that they're in the mix with or guys that are maybe leaning Ohio State, but they have to hit on that. I think if you retain the guys that you want to retain, and it looks like they're going to retain, you got to bring in a big or two bigs to just make that all better, make that fit, because that's been the missing piece.
And Adam, the other part of this, and I think this was a big part of why, they went with Jake, not just the style of play and all of that, but this is an Ohio one. I mean, it's an Ohio basketball royalty family, right? With the Dieblers. And so there were relationships that were there. And we knew that we were heading into a really incredible era of high school talent coming out of the state. You and I talked all the way back in the fall about Peterson and the Adidas connection and all of that, and inevitably ended up at Kansas. But there are others. How is that going on the ground floor in terms of the best Ohioans in terms of, and I think about Marcus Johnson, who's Mr. Ohio, who is a junior at Garfield Heights, but may reclassify. There's rumors of that. Meantime, his cousin just went back to South Carolina. How is all of that going?
Well, I mean, the Marcus Johnson commitment is a pretty significant one, and I think that's something that, he's a borderline 5-star kid. I think he's far ahead of where his cousin was at this point in his high school career. Meechie was hurt in high school, so that muddies the waters a bit. But securing a commitment from Marcus Johnson when they did that's a big deal, and I don't think we can overlook or overstate that, because that was a pretty strong indication of where the Diebler name, what it means in the state of Ohio. In the more immediate future, though, you mentioned Darren Peterson. Yeah, I mean, he goes elsewhere. Nico Bundalo is a kid from Ohio that went elsewhere. Jerry Easter is a kid from Northwest Ohio who went elsewhere. There has been these couple of years here, there's been a pretty good run of some high-level talent from Ohio that hasn't stayed and played for Ohio State. And the thing that is really interesting to me in all of that is these guys are from Ohio, but they're not staying in Ohio for high school ball either. And I think there's probably a big conversation to be had about how healthy is Ohio prep basketball when we can't keep the top kids to play in state anymore. And what does it mean to recruit the state of Ohio now compared to 15 years ago when John Diebler and Jared Sullinger and William Buford and Aaron Kraft and David Lighty and all these guys were from Ohio, and they played their prep ball in Ohio. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. So certainly the Ohio ties are strong, but I don't know if Ohio ties matter quite as much because your kids aren't staying in Ohio. Like, would things have been different for Darren Peterson if he played 4 years of ball in Ohio? I don't know, but maybe.
Well, to that end, there's two bits of good news from a Buckeye prep basketball perspective. Number one, and you mentioned this with Nico, and there's a junior right now, Western Reserve, which is up in Northeast Ohio, is a prep school that has elite talent. That Nico kid played there. And the guy who used to be the coach at Montverde down in Florida was recently hired at Spire Institute up in Northeast Ohio. So those two places, I mean, I was at an AAU game in Hudson, Ohio 2 weeks ago, and Mark Pope's in the building watching the kid at Western Reserve. So, like, those pipelines, you're right. The prep basketball here, those guys all left. But if those two places, prep school and then Spire, which is essentially, I mean, that's basically an athletic institution is what that is. And IMG for our audience, that type of thing. Those two operations, if inroads there can be made by Jake, maybe that's your path forward with keeping the Ohioans. Keep those Ohioans in those two prep schools, and maybe you got a chance.
I would think that probably helps because you are still keeping the kids in state. I do think that is still, though, like, those guys aren't necessarily playing like an all-Ohio schedule. You know, those guys are going to be playing. And so, like, that adds another weird wrinkle to it where I do think there's something that we would see 10, 15 years ago where you have, or, you know, basically up until this modern era where not only are you in the state and you're the top player, you're a 5-star, whatever, but you're everywhere you play, like, it's a big deal in Ohio. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist the way that it used to anymore. And certainly having those academies and maybe having those coaches up there, maybe that is an inroad there. Like you said, I think there's certainly an avenue for that. But you'd still like to think, like, how many games Aspire, I don't know off the top of my head, like, how many games do they play in Ohio? And if you're playing a national schedule, that I think that negates a little bit of it. But it's better than having them play in Utah or Kansas or whatever.
You do wonder if NIL in the high school level at Ohio, that's a whole nother conversation, would help. But we'll see. It's a big conversation. I appreciate you sharing some time with me on it. It's a complicated one too, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, we could go down to, like, Ohio doesn't have a shot clock. You know, like, there's a lot of things at the prep level that I would like to hear from the OHSAA. Like, how are they kind of addressing the fact that Ohio's prep talent keeps leaving? Like, can we keep some of these guys in Ohio? I'd like to see them play. You'd like to see them play. Like, let's keep these guys in the state and see what happens.
Darren Peterson came back and played St. Vincent St. Mary at Canton Fieldhouse in front of thousands like a month ago. One game. And he's the best player the state's produced since LeBron James, and he didn't play his last 2 years here. And so, like, it's a totally different experience. Great talking to you, buddy, as always. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, appreciate it, Bo. Thanks for having me.
All right, there you go. Adam Jardy joining us on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Jake Dealer will be on Morning Juice tomorrow. So he will be on tomorrow with the fellas, and they'll ask him a lot of these same questions, I'm sure, that I just asked Adam. And so get a listen to that tomorrow with the Juice Bringers. You're officially endorsed in 3 things on a First Friday. Coming up next, Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
April 6th at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Rewards members get $5 off an acai bowl or an acai bowl with Nutella. Log into the app on April 6th to redeem your rewards. Terms and conditions apply.
This Ohio State football spring practice report is brought to you locally on The Fan by Roosters and by your Ohio Kubota dealers.
Ohio State football spring practice report.
We all know the importance of the players that Ohio State lost, but head coach Ryan Day talks about the significance of safety Caleb Downs returning.
Anytime that you can look at it like a coach, that's the last level of understanding. We talk about knowing what to do, how to do it, but then understanding why you do it. And you always think about when you master something, you can usually teach it, whether it's a teacher or, growing up with a subject. And so when, he's maybe not getting as many reps this spring, healing up, but he's doing great, by the way, with that. But he's got an opportunity to get around guys and help teach. And that not only does it keep him engaged, it also keeps the young guys engaged, shows how important that is, but also allows him to understand it at a deeper level. So I think all of that is good, and he has the capability to do that.
This report brought to you by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and by Weber Grills on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Imagine a tailgate. The heat of the flame, the sizzle of the burger, the squeeze of the ketchup. Grilling is essential to tailgating as the game itself. Weber grills are there in the hours, minutes, and even seconds before kickoff. Before the best damn band in the land plays the battle cry, signaling it's time to take the field. Weber is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. This season, Weber created an officially licensed limited edition Ohio State grill inspired by the iconic Buckeye helmets. Find the best damn grill in the land at local Ohio retailers.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Cover more ground with the fast, durable Kubota Sidekick, featuring a gas-powered engine that delivers a top speed of 40 miles per hour, best-in-class acceleration and handling with cargo, and the strength to haul what needs hauling, all backed by a 2-year, 1,000-hour warranty. Get more done right with the Kubota Sidekick. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit BuckeyeKubotaDealers.com to find a dealer near you.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet stop you from being active and getting healthy this year. Trade in your bad feet for good feet at the Good Feet store.
We've all got our daydreams, right? Little things, big things, things you know one day you'll do. Then out of nowhere, cancer. And all your plans don't change a bit. I would know. I'm about to jump out of an airplane with my dad. Our first time skydiving solo, and my second year since starting cancer treatment at Ohio Health. All right, Dad, let's go. You keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keep-making-plans.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking with no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. It's your money, right? So keep more of it. Make the switch today at huntington.com/yourmoney.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Bo knows many people. He talks to the interesting ones on this show. This is Bishop and Friends.
Hi, Reese, what do you have on the poll today?
The Daily Fan Poll is sponsored by Caster Connection and asks, what is your favorite Val Kilmer movie? Now, X only allows us 4 options. So it's of these 4, which is your favorite Val Kilmer movie. And we can even argue of some of these are even Val Kilmer movies or just feature Val Kilmer. But rest in peace to him and thoughts with his family today. But your 4 options are Heat, The Doors, Tombstone, and Top Gun. 47% say Tombstone is the best of the 4. 38% say Top Gun. 10% say Heat. 3.5% say The Doors.
All of those movies are great. 2 of them are Kilmer. I think The Doors is all him. I mean, he absolutely inhabits Jim Morrison. So that's all him. He is at very worst the co-lead of Tombstone with Kurt Russell, and I feel like he obviously wins the movie. Top Gun, he's only in for 10 minutes, but it's a very memorable 10 minutes. Heat is probably at best third billing. Certainly a distant third, though, to Pacino and De Niro. And Heat's unbelievable. If you haven't seen Heat, folks, that is stunning how good that movie is. My 4 favorite, I did my Kilmer Mount Rushmore. Doc Holliday's the winner. That's, I think, the best he ever was in anything. I think Iceman, the 10 minutes in the first one, and then the scene in Maverick it pulls at every heartstring. It's just perfectly executed. And good on Tom Cruise for making sure that was in there and getting that done. A personal favorite, Mad Mardigan. in Willow, which is a fun movie for kids, but a little dark, but really fun fantasy movie with kids. And then I think he's great as Chris in Heat. He's very good in that. A couple other ones that I really liked. He was good in Batman. I think he was good in The Saint, which is kind of a fun, silly movie. And then Ghost in the Darkness is really good with him and Michael Douglas in Africa Hunting Lions.
So a thing you can do over the next couple of days if you want to introduce your kids to some of this stuff, because there is a lot of heavy content, in the movies that Val Kilmer made and was part of, is they've got it's like a sequel television series to the name's blanking me of the fantasy movie that you just mentioned. Willow. There's a Disney Plus on that app. They have a television series that's based off of what happens next in that movie. And from someone who had seen the movie years ago, the series is pretty good. It's appropriate enough where your kids can watch it, and then that's kind of a vehicle you can use to get them into Willow and then some of the other stuff that he's involved with, if that's something you're interested in doing, because the weather's supposed to be bad the next couple of days.
Yeah, it is. All right, it's a First Friday. Hit it.
Bishop and Friends present First Friday. Officially endorsed because everyone deserves 2 Fridays.
You drink for the wrong reasons. My generation, we drink because it's good. Because it feels better than unbuttoning your collar. Because we deserve it. We drink because it's what men do.
Well, it is. And I was in California last week on spring break, and they have a giant orb in the sky that emits heat. And it's awesome. And it was actually in the mid to high 90s for much of early last week when we were in Palm Desert area. And so at that point, you're looking for something that's a little bit of a refresher. And one thing that I turned to on a couple of occasions that really won, it's a kind of a twist on a Paloma, which is, probably 3 ounces of tequila. You can either do a grapefruit squeeze, like a heavy grapefruit squeeze, or maybe 2 ounces of grapefruit juice. Fresh grapefruit juice is incredible. And then soda to top. So go with the soda to top that, or a sparkling water to top it. When it inevitably does get warm here, you will enjoy it. And even on a day like today or in the next couple of days, where it's going to rain a lot, it might at least put you in a place to think that maybe you're not somewhere where the sun does not shine. All right, time for 3 things on a First Friday.
1, 2, 3 things.
All right, number 1 for me. You hit it. I mean, the boys are trying to get spring sports going. They're scheduled every night, and every night we get the inevitable cancellation because of rain or lightning or weather, or can't play on fields. And I just think we're to the point now in Ohio with the high schools that if you can, like, every high school should have just a massive swath of turf to play sports on, because the mud is outrageous. It's just so hard. Everyone's chomping at the bit to get going to spring sports, but it's so hard to dodge all of this rain and all of the thunderstorms that happen. It's brutal.
Well, along with Willow and other Val Kilmer vehicles, you could watch this weekend the quarterfinals of the college basketball crown. Are today in Las Vegas. You've got Butler taking on Boise State at 4 o'clock Pacific time. You've got Nebraska and Georgetown going after that. Here's how unserious the college basketball crown is, though. On their website, they have their bracket, but they had games last night, and USC is on to the quarterfinals, but they don't have the bracket updated.
No one cares about this thing, man.
Not even them care about the college basketball crown, the inaugural.
Nah.
As someone who runs the board for pretty much every Ohio State men's basketball game for us here at the Fan, I am very appreciative that Jake Diebler decided to decline that invitation. But you mentioned earlier you saw the Meechie Johnson news yesterday and thought that it was April Fool's. I thought this was April Fool's as well when I saw this. Drew Pine, he has entered the NCAA transfer portal again. The former Notre Dame quarterback is now looking for his 4th school in as many years. He was with the Irish for a few years. Then he went to Arizona State, came back to Missouri. Now, TBD, we will see where he ends up next. It's going to be a 6-year. God love him. I hope he does well. I will never forget, and I hope for Browns fans, this is not a repeat of what's to come, but I'll never forget Tommy Reese picking up that little telephone and getting on the headset with Drew Pine during the California game in 2022 and going, do your bleeping job. The whole effing team is counting on you. But yeah, God bless you, Drew Pine. 6-year, man. Go get it.
I had a conversation with Tommy about that in Berea about a month ago, about that exact moment. That was pretty funny. Number two for me, Walton Goggins is having himself a moment. I've loved him since Justified. He was unbelievable as Boyd Crowder in that. He's basically great in everything he's ever been in, great in Shane as in The Shield. But I will say it is incredibly jarring to go from him and White Lotus contemplating the worst possible things in the most serious way to water skiing naked as Uncle Baby Billy. That's a juxtaposition that is, and they come right after each other. It's crazy how that worked out, but he is awesome and incredibly talented and fun to watch. If you haven't seen Justified, go find it.
Speaking of White Lotus, Kyle asks in the YouTube chat, I started watching White Lotus with my wife. We're 4 episodes in. Please tell me it picks up. I've always loved your TV picks, but this one is slow going. And I'm assuming, and it really doesn't matter if it is season 1, I think you've got to give it maybe another episode before it does pick up. And this is all 3 of the seasons, really, where it does take some time to set everybody and everything up. But once it goes, I found it to be something that delivered every episode.
Who's the guy who runs the hotel in that one? When
Armand?
When Armand falls off the wagon, that's when you.
And I think you're close to getting there, because I think he finds the bag in episode 4, maybe.
Yeah, you're getting there.
Number 2 for me, I don't know exactly when this happened. I saw it on Twitter last night, so I assume it was at some point in the last couple weeks. I don't watch the show myself, but I saw on American Idol, I saw on Twitter, a contestant went on American Idol and did the Sunday Night Football theme song. You know, all right, what a night, it's finally here. First off, good on her for playing up to her, playing to the judges, because obviously Carrie Underwood's on the show, and she's the one who actually does the song. And second off, she crushed it. It was really good, so good job by her. Good job out of her.
Very good job. We're up against it. No time for 3 today. Rothman and Ice coming up next. I got B-Carp coming up at 1:30. Shefty at 2 o'clock. They are loaded up. Keep it locked right here. Enjoy your first Friday. Act accordingly. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
The Roofing Guys are your locally owned, trusted family business right here in Central Ohio. They've been hammering quality and service through the roof for over 25 years, offering professional services in roofing, siding, gutters, and more. Contact them at theroofingguys.com. That's theroofingguys.com.
Come into your local AAA Car Care Plus and save $84 on select sets of Ford Nokian tires. Only at AAA Car Care Plus locations. And on the plus side, AAA members save more. Offer ends April 15th. See store for details.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived, the only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com. Get a welcome bonus to match your initial deposit up to $400 in bonus bets. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 and present in Ohio. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Look, there's feelings and then there's the facts. If you're feeling like your finance team is bogged down in mundane manual tasks, the fact is you need Ramp. Ramp is the corporate card that makes the expense process fast and easy. The moment your team makes a purchase, Ramp handles everything. Receipt collection and approvals, the works. With Ramp, you can cut your month-end close from 5 days to 1, customize approval workflows, and get complete control over every transaction. Facts. Over 25,000 businesses trust Ramp, including Shopify and the Boys and Girls Club of America, which is why they were just named #1 in spend management by G2. Facts. Start using Ramp and you'll have more time to spend scaling your business. And that'll feel really good. Upgrade to Ramp for free today and get $250 at ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. That's ramp.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone for Window Nation. April's a great time to spruce up around your house, like getting rid of those old, ugly, drafty, hard-to-open windows and starting fresh. Especially during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on now. There's no limit to how much you could save, and if you buy a house full of windows, they'll include a free entry door too. Plus, with 0% financing, 0 down, and no monthly payments, you could get new windows and pay nothing until 2027. How do they do it? Well, Window Nation partners with the top window manufacturers in the nation to build windows to their high-quality specs. Then they pass the savings on to you. You'll protect your home with some of the best windows you can buy at a fraction of the price of those other brands. Just imagine what you could do with all that extra money. Hurry, the sale ends soon, so don't miss your chance to take advantage of the Buy 4, Get 4 free and pay nothing until 2027. Schedule your estimate right now at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. One more time, that's Buy 4, Get 4 free from Window Nation, 866-90NATION or windownation.com.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in